What's up, sassy gamers? Today is October 14th, 2021, and this is Got Our Attention Podcast, Season 2, Episode 18. As usual, I'm here with the usual suspects. We've got Brian, Kelly, and Bruno, and we also have a very special guest on the show this evening as well. This is the founder of Studio Kumhio, and his name is Jimmy Spencer. Welcome, Jimmy Spencer.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Does that seem
Can we throw in his middle name too?
Yeah, I was trying to go for like the.
Oh God, not the middle name. That means I'm in trouble.
No doubt. Some nicknames we can add to it. Is there like a Sir?
Sir, yeah.
Sir,
am I knighted by the Queen, by Queen Elizabeth herself?
As a Canadian, I'll go ahead and do that for her. It's fine.
And also,
it
guaranteed she's gonna somehow outlive me still.
She's gonna outlive all of us. She's rich.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I was going for the most awkward professional like introduction to like behind ESPN or something.
Unfortunately, you forgot the professional part and just landed on awkward. That's fine.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
So that's how it's gonna
Jimmy
be.
Spencer behind the blow.
Yes,
but no,
I'm pretty sure, Mike, that we can just stick to first names going forward.
Okay, good. So anyway, now for real though, thanks Jimmy for joining us.
You must address me. It's spelled Jimmy Spencer. It's pronounced throat wobbler mangrove. All right.
Okay. Well, the next time we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
We'll just call you Lord Manbro.
Lord Manbro.
Oh man, but yeah, it's actually a pleasure having you on, Jimmy. Appreciate you sticking around and dealing with us for a little bit before and then now during and then potentially after. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so I guess we'll just dive right into it. So, founder of Studio Kumhio, you guys were created in 2017. I guess tell us a little bit of like what made you decide to start a game studio, especially an indie game studio in a market that we have today.
So, I'm a DigiPen alum, so like game development has always been what I've always done. I started programming when I was 13 because I've always wanted to make games. I played Zelda Ocarina of Time at age 8. I finished the game, ran downstairs crying to my parents. I was like, I want to make video games. Right?
I am a fan now of you. You're awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And but I worked at an indie studio, my first job out of college, and then that studio closed down, and I jumped over to Amazon, not making games, and I was extremely bored. extremely
almost if they like
bored.
needed a game studio at the time or something.
Yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, right. And I thought about jumping from what team I was on to Amazon to go to the game development division, but then I played their games and I'm not going to open up by talking trash. It was just not my thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'll do it.
And I was just making other stuff in my spare time. I built a game engine that was meant to actually keep my skills sharp. And then for some reason, like a friend came to me with an idea for a game, which became a Sound Plan, our first game. We built in a custom engine and everything, and that was in the indie mega booth. And we were like, okay, I think this needs to become like a thing that we need to do. I don't think market conditions necessarily factored in. It was just like, we just want to do this, and we think we're in a good position to do so.
When I read your bio, it's kind of what it came up to too. It was like, like this is not a game. This is not a studio that we're going to like do everything as quick as possible and try to just like, we're going to make what we want to make. And like, if you guys are along for the ride, great. And that's, the way it seemed like you guys were, which is awesome. It really should be about the passion right behind what you guys are putting out. It's not even a matter of other people want to play. It's like what you want to create, something you can play, it's
right. Exactly. Because if I don't want to play it, then why the hell should anybody else?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. A big inspiration actually was, and it's kind of like in the phrasing of our company title, it's Studio Ghibli, very much where the Hayao Miyazaki just kind of does whatever he wants and then a movie comes out eventually. Right, like
exactly.
It's kind of like the business model I want to hit eventually. It's like it's done when it's done, when I'm happy with it, and like the rest of us are satisfied with what we've done, and we released that, and hopefully it does well.
Yeah, and that's actually funny because you mentioned that because like with Cricket, which we'll get into in a little bit, one of your new games that's going to be coming out, and it says literally 2023 of December of on the Steam page and such, which is it's crazy to see like a game, the release is like 2 years away, and like that's you usually don't see that. It's usually like, oh, it's coming out tomorrow because early access, why not? We'll just put it out and we'll never finish it.
Or you just gotta like in general not give a release date because they want to fuel the hype train. Because part of the hype train is guessing when's the game going to come out. Like let people talk about that because that's like a lack of context that just creates PR essentially that so many companies like to grab into, but it's also destructive at the same time.
So
yeah, I didn't really think about that part. I just was like, it'd probably be nice if people kind of had an idea of when this is happening, like for us at least. And
a reasonable expectation.
Yeah, originally we said December 2022, but then like we chose to expand the game a little bit more, so we added another year of time. And someone on our Steam like community was like, when we said 2022, they're like basically available in 2023, and the question was like, will we even be alive by then? and then all I did was reply, this is a great question.
Well,
it doing like the CEO of Robin Hood there.
It also seemed like there was while you joke about like hey, just kind of moving the dates out to whenever, it also seems like there was a decent amount of thought that went into some of it because looking at the blog that you have on the site, I believe Jackie posts a blog, but you put comments into it. I thought it was interesting. One of the earlier ones talking about, do we do a demo or do we not? And it was nice pros and cons going through that. And one of the things was talking about like, building up the hype, but then everybody gets what they want out of the demo and then they don't buy it again. Mm-hmm. But then flash forward to like October last year, PAX Online, and you guys, it looks like had released was it a time demo that got released or
a time demo?
Okay, yeah, because I did see a lot of those during that time.
Yeah, and so the reason why we did a timed demo is because a little bit of how the sausage is made a little bit, but like PAX had this thing where it's like PAX exclusive demos, right? And so we were like, oh, we have to time limit our demo or else we're not going to be on that top billing, because we didn't know if we were going to be in any of the other categories. Turned out we were, but we had no idea because Steam surprises us all the time. They don't tell us anything. Anyway, Valve in their ever mysterious ways. Wow, it's like how they treated Half-Life 2, but for everyone else. Anyway, but
yes.
But like anyway, so so we were like, we need to be at the top billing somewhere, and it's kind of hard to convince Penny Arcade that it's an exclusive demo when it's kind of like a Discover card. It's like it's an exclusive club for everybody.
Yeah.
So like that, I don't know why I made a credit card joke, but here I am.
Yeah.
Well,
I sit here and write jokes for Cricket. I think about a bunch of stuff, and some of it just ends up in the bin. Like,
I feel like that all the time. They always tell my things to go in the bin. So
yeah.
No, it's funny. I saw that your game actually made it into the games so cute that make you want to puke rainbows category, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
I wasn't expecting that.
Actually, really quick, going back to the Zelda. So, what are your thoughts on the water temple?
Oh, well, as a kid, I didn't mind it. And as an adult, I still don't mind it. It's a neat concept executed kind of poorly. Because like the whole idea of like changing where you can go, here's a game designer thing. Anyway, like changing the water levels to change what access you have to certain parts of the dungeon, and having that is like a cool concept.
Right.
But the problem is that I think they planned like a golden path, and then like they didn't think about if a player saves and quits.
Yep.
Like, what do you do then? And
they won't save and quit in the middle of the water temple. Come on, that
never happens.
They're gonna get through it one shot, no problem.
And then the 3DS edition fixed up a lot of problems and fixed the bug that makes it so you can't complete the dungeon.
Yeah, that's probably something they should work on. So,
kind of a two-parter before we get to Cricket. Just a short thing about what looks like the first game you guys produced, which was a sound plan. which was fascinating looking because the premise is that there is a zombie, there are 4 players, and it's an 8-bit top-down game with the 8-bit sound on it is spot on.
Oh,
and you don't really have...
shout out to Wind Up Audio for that one. That wasn't me.
Okay.
It's still good, though. I mean, it fit for the game.
Oh, thank you.
But it's the premise that you're using sound to attract the zombie to your competitors because you don't actually have weapons. So kind of the two-parter here is, where does ideas come like that come from? And then the second part is, how do you get from that to cricket?
Yeah.
That was my question too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a sound plan.
Sorry, Mike.
You're fine. No,
Yeah, we should probably. Yeah, go ahead.
A sound plan was originally the designer of the project, Dean Halls, shout outs to him. He came to me with the idea for a sound plan because he was building like a prototype using DigiPen's internal proprietary engine. Okay. And it originally was you kill the zombies and you don't want to attract them using sound and all that stuff. And he kept evolving on the concept until he made multiplayer for it. And then the sound thing it was through iteration, basically. Yeah. And a lot of our ideas come from like iteration, just very much throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, what we like and what we don't like, and just trashing. Something I wrote a long time ago: keep the great and trash the okay. Part of my like design principles, and so yeah, I guess that was Dean's idea in that one. So where that idea came from, not my head.
Yeah.
Well, I will say,
I mean, and then I did, and then he and I worked together to like refine like the ideas and all that stuff. There were a couple things that didn't make it into the game that I would have liked to get into the game. Like, I wanted to put in like level hazards and all that stuff, but it was just like we felt like it would distract from the zombie zombie arena stuff. So we eventually left that out. Maybe in a sequel. I don't know. We're not working on a sequel. So going from that to cricket, how'd that happen? So because Dean came to me with the idea for a sound plan, I was building the engine. Cricket was actually originally in development back then. Cricket's been in development technically since like 2012.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I just kept refining the game and all that stuff. And Dean saw the engine and he's like, hey, how about we make my game idea in this engine? And there you go. Wow. But Cricket was always in development that whole time. And
so is Dean part of the team? Like, is he part of
yes,
the... Okay, so he's more
lead.
of like the writer that kind of comes up with the ideas typically, or I guess at this point
in the case of a sound plan, he was lead designer and he did the concept and everything. For Cricket, he's primarily a level designer and he does some narrative design with us. And his main forte like on Cricket is level design. He does fantastic work.
Awesome.
Also he writes jokes and sometimes I have to, like the Snot Rock thing was in the Cricket demo. That was all Dean. That was not me. I had to write around it. So he put the idea and I had to write around him. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, Cricket has always been the goal, but a sound plan became a good test of the engine and the framework for like the physics, rendering, and all that stuff. And it was a small game, so it was not that hard to port to the Switch.
Right.
When that came around, because we don't build our games in Unity. We do everything by hand from scratch.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
We are dinosaurs.
Holy.
Really? No, it's funny. Sound plans, I checked it out and I haven't actually downloaded it yet to play yet, but as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, oh man, this is going to be really fun. like knowing us, like, because we've played a few other games like that. We have a segment we do during the week. It's called Game of the Moment. And we usually highlight one game. We usually either one person plays it, we talk about it, kind of lightly review it, or we'll have a game where we all kind of play together with a bunch of friends online and kind of just have, monotony going on. And that seems like one of those games that we could definitely start up and just play. And it just seems like it would fit that type of niche that we want very well. Yeah. So I'm kind of excited about playing that one. It seems really awesome.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Steam version has remote play. I wish the Switch edition did. But like online multiplayer is really hard, especially when I'm the only programmer.
Yes.
Hey, the fact that you even get this far is pretty amazing. So,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's originally the engine was just to keep my skills sharp. That was really no other reason. I was just like, oh, let's do something crazy in 3D math. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And, oh my god! And then eventually it's like, oh, these can become game features.
so things that I would
That's
never
cool.
say for 500 is
Yeah.
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 All
Oh,
right.
So taking just a step back, and I definitely want to get into cricket and have you explain a little more of that. But I wanted to know, where did the name of the studio come from, and also the adorable dog in your logo. Who is that?
That's my dog.
Okay.
He's my dog Daigo. He's not
Aw.
in frame right now. He's
Okay.
probably in my bedroom.
All right, we'll
He's
stop
like-
the stream. We need to get him on the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Daigo, can you?
Can we actually interview him? Can he come?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that he's his own independent spirit. He'll show up when he wants to.
Yes.
Perfect.
When he desires it.
Yeah.
But like Studio Kumhio, so I wanted to be Studio something because I wanted to be a reference to Ghibli, and then
Gotcha.
Kumhio is a Korean nine-tailed fox demon. I'm half Korean myself, so I wanted to lean into that heritage that I have. And then I was sort of like, I want someday to have a studio name that people go, like, when we're making a game, they go, oh shit, it's them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like it's gonna be good.
And it does like rolls off the tongue well too. Like it's a
Mhm.
strong name. Like it sounds like legit. Like you've got more than just, a couple of people. Like it sounds like, not that you're not legit. You are absolutely legit. Like, sorry, that came out way wrong.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I sometimes, and not to, like, I'll just make up a studio name, but they'll be like, oh yeah, Butt Nut Games or whatever. It's like that studio exists to make one game and then
Exactly. Yeah.
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 But like I definitely want it to be a name that has some sort of staying power. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Don't refer to this if everything goes south.
No worries. I'm confident that y'all are sticking around. So
Right, thank you.
yeah.
We do our best.
So actually getting into cricket. So cricket
Mhm.
is it's available. Well, it's not available yet. It's on your website. You have a lot of information about it. You've even talked about it in the blogs and such. And you
Mhm.
said like it's definitely a reference to Ghibli. Like you can see some even the it definitely makes me have that feeling of like watching a movie like that, right? But like one thing that really struck me was that the gameplay definitely reminds me of like playing a game when I was growing up, like on like regular Sega or something. Not the graphics, not referring to that. You guys are really great art style. But just the gameplay itself.
Shout out to Irene. She's our only artist.
Oh wow, yeah. So
One
that's
person did
super
that.
cool.
Wow.
But it just happened from at least the trailer and some of the gameplay that they had from your page from the streamers. It definitely gives that vibe of like that early childhood game that I was playing like back on like Sega or something. It just gives you that adventure feel. Like you have like a JRPG element to it. It definitely gives you that feel. And then you also switch up like when you actually have like battles. It's almost like Final Fantasy where you're like taking turn based and everybody's kind of fighting. And it just seemed really cool. It reminded me of a lot of games like that. And I thought that was really neat. But I guess like kind of like what Brian said earlier. You went from a sound. The sound plan to like this game, which is like an almost like open world essentially. Like there's parts to that where you can walk around, talk, like even say you can talk to any NPC you want. What was the thought like at what point, you said you refined this a few times, what point were you like, you know what, we're gonna just go all the way and just make like anything you want to do, like talk to our NPCs, you can have battles, you can go on this crazy quest, like I'm sure that's a lot to take up like when you're trying to plan out a game.
Yeah, so what it is that like I think I wrote in a blog post a long time ago with like sort of my design philosophy with mechanics of, if I'm going to put something that I think is fun into the game, then a lot of things in the game need to actually react to it. Like games are almost like reaction boxes. You do something to it and then something should happen, right? So in this case, like originally it was like walk up and interact with things, and then it's like talk to people, and then I'm like, well, if I could walk around and I'm talking to people, what if I'm bored? Like, and I just want to walk away? Like, so you can walk away mid conversation in cricket, and people get
Nice.
pissed off at you for it. And then
That's
there's
awesome.
Like real life.
just like real life. And
Excuse me.
yeah, and then we have the sprinting mechanic, which is Zelda inspired. I wanted to make a more interactive JRPG because I think that's always one thing that the JRPGs I remember always sort of lacked, is that it was a very stringent like separation from exploring the world, talk to people, hit X to interact with things, and nothing else.
Right.
And then battle. And I was like, why does it have to only be hit X to do thing? Press F to pay respects. But but actually, so we had that like ramming your head into things mechanic, and then I'm like, well, now things in the world need to actually react to that. And I'm like, okay, we have like trash cans that can be knocked over, trees that can be shaken, refrigerators that need cookie tins knocked off of them and stuff. But I'm like, people don't like getting run into as well, right? So
yeah.
And then to unify that mechanic to make it actually have some sort of impact other than just a thing you can do, because I don't want to be in that cycle of like Duke Nukem Forevering it, where it's like you just add a thing and then you add another thing and you add another thing and none of it really like is tangible to the game.
Yeah,
like
it's just there.
The loop, right? So we added the mischief meter. So where like as you do more and more like chaotic things in the world, the game gets harder, but you get more rewards. So we're like, oh, this might be an interesting speed run strat. Like you make the game super hard, but you get double the rewards. So you get like double the experience, double the like the loot and all that stuff if you're good enough.
So I'm curious. Go ahead.
I was going to think before we go too much deeper. We've been doing things like looking at the trailers and stuff. Can you give us kind of the extended elevator pitch of what is cricket?
And we do have a couple of questions in chat too that we want to ask as soon as you answer that question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I mentioned it to Brian like when we first met, but like cricket is a JRPG about a young boy going on a journey with his best friends to try and make a wish to bring his mother back to life, whom he lost to cancer. And along the way, there's like a lot of silliness, a lot of weird stuff happens. Giant flowers trying to pollinate the world. Colleges that are secretly prisons. Just like a bunch of weird stuff happens along the way. And each of the characters have their own arc. They each learn a lesson. It's a game about loss, loneliness, and friendship. I just made that last bit up after
It was awesome.
Bring it back on the spot.
Hey,
And,
that's cool.
and I'm about to cry. So
I did have, I guess, a more targeted question with reference to, I guess, the inspiration behind your game. More so the genre game. So you chose JRPG is one of the main things that you base it off of, with some elements from obviously other series like Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
But the format of your game as a JRPG resembles the game that I think of the most, which your game obviously is not in the same vein as necessarily, but the display of it is like the South Park games, which went into development after, obviously, you entered development of this game, or at least were released after you started development of this game, because you said you started making this 8 years ago. Is there a specific JRPG series or game series out there that really inspired you to like go after this style of JRPG? Because it is really specific, the way that it's presented.
I am a huge fan of the genre. So like I almost like try to be like an encyclopedia. So I just threw in a bunch of things that I liked. And I know someone's going to be like, oh, that's so chaotic, right? But I would say probably the two biggest influences were probably Earthbound and Paper Mario.
Okay.
Wow.
And then actually 3, because then Chrono Trigger as well.
Okay, yeah. No, I could totally see that. So, wow. Yeah. Those are some big inspirations to compile into one game. So that's impressive.
And then also I was big into fighting games like years back and used to play them a lot, like competitively. And so like the meter mechanic is inspired by Street Fighter. I know someone's probably gonna ask, does this game have a single original idea? It's like, I'm sure it does. Okay.
I mean, you got to take elements, right, from other games.
Yeah.
At some point, like so many things have been done to where it becomes almost like you're adding your own flair to a lot of pre-existing elements and combining them in ways that nobody has combined them before. And a lot of that is, it's almost like a science to it of throwing the best elements possible together in a way that works. And that's kind of what makes a successful game, so long as you add your own spin on it, which, based on everything we've seen, you've done it extremely well.
Oh, thank you.
We'll see. We'll see what happens in 2023, but hopes are high, obviously.
Are we actually going to be alive then?
Once
We'll
again,
try.
that is a great question. and then no answer after that.
All right, let's get to those questions, Kelly.
All right, so Lady Alara, it's Alara, or Ayara? Please forgive me
I think it's
for
Alara.
mispronouncing. Alara, okay, thank you. She did have another question before this one, but the most recent one that touches on one of the things we're talking about is there a disposition that gets changed when you're rude to people versus nice? Or is it just moment-to-moment side commentary?
NPCs will actually maintain how angry they are at you. It eventually cools off.
Oh, wow.
But so like if there was an important bit of information and you piss them off, they're gonna be like, no, you don't get that information anymore. Fuck off.
Oh, so they're going to turn into Bruno. Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then
The
going
first
back
jab has been thrown.
yes. And going back just a little bit further, what's the hardest part? Again, from Lady Lara, what's the hardest part about moving into making your own games?
Oh man, the hardest part about moving into making your own games. One, thank you for the questions. It's a good one.
Yes, thank you, Lady Lara.
I think it's maintaining your composure. There's going to be a lot of times where you're going to be really confident in an idea and like putting something together, and someone's going to come at it from like a consumer perspective and not be impressed. And like the expectations of like customers versus developer is very, very different. So just maintaining your composure during those times when like reality meets your expectations, and just always keep the goal in mind. Just, you have to keep moving.
Yeah, I know, like, when writing music, I used to do that a long time ago, but it was one of those things where, like, I wrote a song and, I'm not obviously famous or anything like that. So, like, if that song ever became famous, that's the first time that most people have heard the song. But yet there'd be so many different times I've played it that I'm burned out of it. So the same kind of thing that happens, I'm sure, with you in game development is, like you said, you started this in, like, what, 2012, you said? So
Yeah.
it's like, you said you've been through different iterations. So it's like, how do you keep the motivation behind creating this game that you're going to keep like redoing till almost now where you're almost at that finish line with the product that was completely changed, most likely from like your initial thoughts?
Yeah. And like on that, like Cricket originally was like a traditional fantasy when it started development. And then this is when I knew I had like pretty strong characters and a pretty decent story, was that I changed the setting completely as a thought exercise. And I was like, it still works as conceptually. And so once I was like, well, fantasy is sort of played out a lot. We were talking about doing a more cartoon aesthetic. I was like, I think we should do like a more contemporary like setting, like a world, but not ours, but similar kind of.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of a sandbox. I like to get to the point of like creative sandbox where it's like you have sort of these very loosely defined boundaries, and then you just put in whatever the fuck you want. and it all kind of works,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
So giant flowers and, going to the moon, because and the next country over doesn't have laws that regulate launching kids into space and other stuff like that.
So are you saying we can go to the moon in Cricket?
Yeah, the end goal is to get to the moon.
You heard it here first.
Awesome.
Yep.
So,
which is why the moon's in the logo.
Right.
So you got bits and little drips and drabs of information that's on your website. Obviously, you go a little bit more detail into the blogs. You, Jackie, and I'm sure other people contributing as well. But what I think is interesting is the character page, because you talk about like, Jay being the healer, and then you have some other common things that we're used to hearing, like Zack the warrior, Twilla the mage.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets interesting. Okay, Techie, yeah, I could see that. And then you got the hothead and the Joker. Now, are those actual classes or?
No, it's more like their personality. But their personalities are expressed in their moveset. So Symphony, the Joker, is she is a glass cannon, is the idea. So a lot of her attacks are silly and involve sort of like pranking, but she has like no defense. Self-defense is not a thing.
And talking about the attacks, one of the things that I loved when I was at PAX and watching this was how you took a lot of these concepts and kind of translated them and put them in the story as in like how a kid would see things. I believe one of the attacks that I saw was, one of the kids throws down a rake and the other one stands on the end of the rake, on the handle side, and the other one jumps on the teeth of the rake and he catapults the other person into the fray. And it was neat because it's like these concepts of these spells and stuff like that, but in the framework of a child's mind, that definitely spoke to me as a very fun way to do this game. How difficult is that? Because you were talking about having that more standard fantasy framework to begin with. How difficult is that translation?
It can be really tough to like come up with fun new attacks rather than, because it has to be functional too.
Right.
Like it has to actually look like it does damage. So it's like mixing that child playfulness with that actual like doing real damage. It's always an interesting balance, and we're always in conversation about like what the team attacks are going to be. And because like Symphony, her thing is that she wields a traffic cone as her attack, which I was side thing. I was so disappointed that like, because we had a version of Symphony that was like the third character. She was playable in game technically by the time PAX rolled around, but she didn't make sense narratively in the demo. So we left her out for that reason. And one of the jokes that got passed around that we were going to do was that she would only have one line and she would chime in every cutscene where she'd just be like, I'm not supposed to be in this part.
Oh, that's funny.
But then we were like, we can't do that. Like people will be so confused why there's just one character. Her only line is, I'm not supposed to be here.
Like, that'd been great.
Yeah. Maybe for another time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fun joke amongst us though. But yeah, definitely back to the question. It is difficult, like balancing those two things. And because I mean, Jay wields a rake, a metal one, and those in real life do a lot of damage. So it's trying to like make things not too violent. Trying to keep a E to E10 rating, and here we are playing
rakes
and stuff, and a boxer punching and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason, and I'm probably the question will come up at some point. I'm a huge fan of boxing, so like that's why Zach.
I noticed that from your Twitter, actually.
Is it like current day boxing or like historical boxing or both?
Both.
Okay, cool.
Both.
I've seen quite a bit of old fights just because I had a roommate at the time that was a amateur boxer, so he used to watch like all these different like fights from wherever ago, and so I've seen quite a bit of them. So I actually kind of know much about it, and then I loved Fight Night. Like that was one of my favorite games to play. Like we were Fight Night 3.
Fight Night.
Oh man, Fight Night 3, so good. Anyway,
so good. Yeah. I'm not usually into sports games, but like Fight Night's a fighting game.
That's so good.
Fight Night's a fighting game.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
It's a different kind of fighting game.
Yeah. No, I don't box, but that's what chat's asking. But no, I don't.
It's interesting because I originally wanted Zach to be a wrestler because I wrestled in high school. Well, I wrestled from like age 5 to age 18, so 13 years. But then it was like actually creating the interactions for throwing a character, like all the animation and stuff was just way too much animation. Like it would have been because you have to, in order to make it look good, you have to actually like let's say like Zach, if you were a wrestler, you had to do like a suplex, right? Like the one that like way like where you lean back,
right?
Like you'd have to make the animation for the enemy sprite actually react to being suplexed, as opposed to and that's just
that starts sounding like it's like a great idea, but try to actually
does it.
That's
not an execution.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm a huge fan of boxing, and like Zach's narrative still works with him being a boxer instead of a wrestler. So we just turned him into a boxer.
Makes sense.
And now we have a one animation for when an enemy just gets punched by him.
That's awesome. So
that was easy.
We have a list of questions that we typically ask everybody that comes on the show. So we're just going to ask these questions, and feel free to answer them however you like.
Sure.
So
fire away.
What is your favorite animated character from a game, movie, a comic, or cartoon?
Okay, I had a hard time, like, because I think about this sometimes. I have a hard time with it. I quite like Kaneda from Akira. He's his sort of like brashness and in your face. I enjoy him quite a bit. How do I say this without getting into spoilers? Shinji Ikari from Evangelion is someone I relate to in some ways. Not always, because he's a bit messed up, but like in some ways. I quite like Travis Touchdown a lot from No More Heroes. It just his willingness to like call out a situation when it happens, like an enemy dies in front of him, he just goes, "The fuck?" Right. I would say let's go with those three.
All right.
Maybe Ashitaka from Princess Mononoke as well. I think by the end of the movie, where he's like, "I want to make a judgment with eyes unclouded," is like, it's one of my favorite lines.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
All right. I've got two for you. I'm going to steal the two. What game do you play that you're embarrassed to tell your friends about?
So I'm a game developer. I don't
tell us here. No. I spent all my time developing.
Let's put it this way. I work so I work like two jobs basically. Like we do contract stuff to sort of keep our head above water while we make cricket. And then the other half of my day is making cricket. So but if I were to say a game that
even in the past, like
it's interesting. I originally hated this game, but like a friend demanded that I play it again, and it was Quest 64. And the second time around, I enjoyed it a lot more than the first time. When I was a kid, I hated it, and as an adult, it's still jank. All right, it's still janky. But like, I don't generally like to tell people, Quest 64 wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Maybe another one would be, it's like Mega Man Legends wasn't bad. Right? Like, because I know some people loathe that game.
Look at him, Bruno.
Oh man. I've never seen Bruno's eyes light up like that.
Yikes.
Yeah, exactly, right. Wait, are you talking about Mega Man 64 or Legends? Because, I mean, they're the same game, but like on the N64, I can understand why people would really say yikes to that, because that game is yikes. That version.
It was 64. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 64.
I remember playing it in my neighbor's basement. She had like these like foster kids from like they were troubled youths, and all they had was a 64. And I remember distinctly playing that game with them, and yikes.
It's like it by today's standards, not great either, but like it was definitely mapped around a PS1 controller. Like it controls way better on the PS1. And that's not an advertisement for PlayStation. You're welcome. So
I mean, apparently people out there agree that Mega Man 64 was worthwhile, because I actually just pulled it up, and the cheapest version I can find is 750 USD. There's something to it.
Please.
I mean, I have a copy of the PlayStation edition and Mega Man Legends 2, which is rarer, but like, because I enjoy the series, but like, I don't like playing on the N64 controller. That controller has its moments.
Yeah.
Had its moments.
Yeah, had its moments.
Yeah.
Where people were like super excited to get the N64 like controller for like the new Switch Online stuff, and I'm just like, no, you don't want it. You don't want it.
No.
Save yourself. It's like they knew what made a good controller, but they had this analog stick and they really wanted you to use it, so they didn't know where to place it, so they put it right like in the center bottom of the controller for some reason.
Just put it here. It's fine.
Good, it's good for a handle. It's great.
Yeah, right. Sorry, there were other questions.
Oh yeah. You're good. Sorry. If you could eat one meal anywhere in the world, where and what would it be?
Okay, my answer is probably gonna be pretty boring, but like
boring is okay.
Oh yeah, but like in my hometown, Belfast, Maine, there's a place called Alexia's Pizza, and I think it makes the best pizza out there. Oh. And I would take a cheese slice from there like any day, and I miss it.
Nice.
Tragic. It's tragic. but yeah, it because it's not like a New York or Chicago style pizza. It's a Greek style pizza, which is like from New England, so it's different. So while New York and Chicago can hash it out about whether Chicago style pizza is a casserole or not, I don't give a shit, because I'm eating Greek style pizza over here.
Oh, that's funny.
That actually sounds delicious.
Yeah. So before asking my question, I actually have a follow-up question from chat talking about the first question, favorite anime characters. Lady, hold on.
Lady Uboshi.
No, it's a lot. See, now I'm laughing, so I'm going to screw it up. Lara. Lara. See, and I screwed that up. But anyway, she put pronunciation there. She says, do you think the medium is freeing, speaking of anime, like movies have to have some realism, but games and anime can have these really over-the-top reactions, and they're still believable?
Even film can sort of be unrealistic, like Edgar Wright films, like Scott Pilgrim, right? Like it does a lot of exaggerated stuff,
very
right?
much
like
so.
It's each medium has a language, and like you have to communicate that in that language, but you can kind of tell any story you want. But in that sense, games are freeing in many ways, but like it's also restrictive, because it's like at the end of the day you still have to have something playable. like True. you can have like a garbage story or like terrible aesthetic and have a fun game. Yeah. But if you don't have a fun game with a beautiful aesthetic, like no one's getting to the end. Yeah, no one's getting to the end. Good point. Yeah. Yep. So it's like, yeah, and in the case of like film, it has to be like the story has to be engaging and interesting in some way, right? I've seen film. Team America World Police is a stupid movie, right? Stupid movie, hilarious though, because it's puppet. If it were with real actors, it wouldn't be nearly as entertaining.
I don't know.
The fact that they have a puppet show in a puppet show.
But what if there were like some really cringy actors, but they had like the puppet lines, like they acted. So you mean like actual puppets?
Oh yeah, like the strings coming off their arms and everything.
See, now that would be an interesting aesthetic.
Yeah,
I like that.
They draw the extra lines around their jaw, like so. So my actual question. By the way, thank you, chat, for putting that in there. That was very awesome.
Yeah, thank you for the questions, chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah. My question is, what is the game that you like that you think didn't really get a fair shake or was overlooked?
Does Suikoden 2 count? Like it because it didn't sell very many copies. It was critically lauded, but didn't sell a hell of a lot of copies. Like copies now go. Last I checked, it was like $300. You know,
Jeez.
yeah, like it was, and it's interesting because when we talk about like best JRPG, like the conversation, I got into that game like later, like when Konami re-released it on PS3 for download. So thanks to Nick Wexler for telling me that, because it was on my list for a long time. He's like, just play it right now, and I played it, and at the end I cried, and it's really, really good, fantastic game. I think it was almost criminally overlooked, like financially, or was it in the market? I guess economically.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic game though. Everyone should play it.
And when I said chat, no, I wasn't talking about you, James the Sucks. Talking about Lady Lara.
And I guess moving
James
on
is claiming credit
to the final question we have for you, which is kind of a big one, I think, for most people in any art medium or development medium in general, for gaming or otherwise. But if you could credit one person or experience from your past that contributed to where you are today, who or what would it be?
Oh man. Yeah, I think with everyone, it's not just one person. Generally, it's a few people, right? In my case, in terms of like, a lot of like my writing and a lot of my like the work I do, it kind of comes back to my wrestling experience. So a lot of it, I have to like thank my wrestling coach Mike Cummings for that. Also Neil Wood and Scott Wood, they're assistant coaches, and they really drilled into my head like the work ethic, and always you always have minor setbacks, like a loss happens, right? Like or like all the work you put in doesn't bear any fruit. But the thing is that you have to keep moving. If you care enough, you have to keep moving. You can only sulk for so long, and take the important lessons, put a frame around it, and move on. Probably another one would be my Latin teacher. Yeah, I know I said Latin. Anyway, Tim Doran. He was where sort of wrestling was where I met adversity and tried to overcome it, but there was really no one like behind me putting their hands on my back and like pushing me like forward almost uncritically. That was Tim, who like, because he'd read the newspaper all the time and like in the sports section, and then see like me in the sports section and always just be like, you do good stuff. He's like, even if you did get second place, it doesn't matter. The fact that you got as far as you did is impressive, or stuff like that.
So you mentioned wrestling, cool. And now one of the viewers is asking what weight class for wrestling you were in.
I was 103 my freshman year, and then 119, 130, and then 140.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went from like a lightweight to middleweight. Is that 140 is like middleweight for high school, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you said you placed second in some of these, and he's asking a lot of questions. So the viewer in question also did wrestling. So now you got them fully engaged. I want to know how good you did and what state you were from. I
was from Maine originally.
Yeah, pay attention, James.
I said that. Yeah, I put that in chat.
Yeah, I'm from Maine originally. I won states twice. I won New England's once. And what else did I do?
Thanks, James. That's the most helpful thing you've said, that I was muted.
Wait, what was it?
She was muted.
I've been muted this whole time. I'm just taking.
Oh my God.
You still suck, James.
Oh man, sorry.
James,
about
you
that.
do suck. I mean,
I had literally nothing to do about it, but sorry.
Yes. See, I love him. I love him. He's just
you understand
like
her frustration. It's fine.
Yeah.
Now, actually, so this because James sucks. Did wrestling himself. That's why you engaged him so well there. So actually, this might engage him further or disengage him, because this is a very interesting question. So, being that you did what many people would call real wrestling, see, you already know. What do you feel about what do you feel about professional wrestling?
It's for people. One of my best friends is really into like WWE and all that stuff, and I had to ask him. I was like, legit. I was like, this is not like a competition. This is not like it's not a sport like in the traditional sense of the word. So why do you like it? Because I'm not into it myself. And
I bet James is.
But he said, he's like, it's really the stories. Like it's the really ridiculous like stories and like the characters. Like you get into the act of it, right? Like someone explained it to me. It was I think there was a wrestler in Japan called Kenny Omega or something, and about his storyline, about how he was like paired up with this one guy, and then like they broke up, and then he joins like this villain group, and then like they do a bunch of like evil wrestling, whatever the fuck, and then apparently they reunite in the ring, like he and his ex-partner after like being apart for so long, and they just hug it out. And so like wrestling fans are super into that. And
I mean, the fact that you said
like
it
a
was,
soap opera.
Stories, right?
you summed it up with it's for people that was enough for me.
Well, it's entertainment. It may be athletic entertainment, but it's entertainment. It's a soap opera. I'm not really into it myself, but I actually do know some of the names like Kenny Omega and a couple other things. But yeah, it's very divisive.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of wrestling purists, like, because I was in that community, right? And they're like, "Oh, it's not real wrestling," and it's like, I don't think it's trying to be wrestling. Like you're holding it to these standards that it's like it's not even trying to have, right? Like, for part of the reason why I like boxing is because like it's not just the sport. Like I appreciate the sport, but it's also the stories of the people who are in it, right? Like Tyson Fury, who is the heavyweight champ of the world, at the top of it all, and then got severely depressed because he was at the top and there was nothing left for him. So he had a drug addiction, like alcoholism and all that stuff. And he fell to the bottom, gave up all his belts. Someone picked it up from him. And then he ballooned up to like 400 pounds. And then he just woke up one day and he's like, you know what? I'm getting those back. Right? Like that's a story that like I can get into.
So what are your thoughts?
I see there's a rock to Dwayne Jansen in the back.
What are your thoughts on Money Mayweather?
Floyd is probably okay. Terrible person. I'm going to open up with that. All right. Terrible person, so that people don't take me out of context. But as a boxer, one of the greatest of all time.
I am 100% behind you.
Defensive master.
Exactly.
Defensive master.
Textbook, everything. Perfect. Yep.
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. That Philly shell stance, like he knew when to block, when to parry. Like all of his opponents would be like, "Oh yeah, just rush him down. That's how you win." And then Maidana does it and loses, right? Canelo does it and loses. Like so many people tried it and lost. Yeah. Pacquiao loses. Pacquiao, probably one of the best offensive boxers of all time, cannot open him up.
It was like watching that fight was like I was like, Pacquiao's gonna win. Like he won this. And then at the end I'm like, what? This is such bullshit. And then I go back and watch it again, and it was like watching a movie, like when you slow it down, you see all of like the little things happening, and it was like literally like everything that Pacquiao was doing was missing, and he was blocking everything, just everything he was doing never landed, and then he would go in there and just tag him a few times, and then he'd go back to blocking, and you just couldn't see that like live, like you had to go back and slow it down and go like, oh wow, this guy really
that actually didn't connect. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel you with that. I'm just curious because that is a thing that most people.
I know he's divisive. I know he's very divisive, but like frankly, I think the results sort of speak for themselves. 50-0,
right?
Like no draws. Like, but what else can you say? Muhammad Ali lost. Mike Tyson lost. Right? Yeah. Like Manny Pacquiao lost to Floyd. Yeah. Right? Like, so it just Sugar Ray Robinson, he lost. Sugar Ray Leonard lost, right? Like, but Floyd, his O never went.
Yeah,
too good.
That's a good point.
Good. Yeah, but anyway, and he fought a lot of really good people. His resume was quite good. And I know people go, oh, well, he didn't fight people in their prime. It's like, oh, okay, let's just give him a time machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he fought the best in his era, and he beat them all.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
that's
Agreed.
it. That's all there is to it.
Well,
Oh.
I think we'll move into our next actual segment here, which is going to be what we've been playing recently. And let me get rid of this. So, I guess we'll start with Game of the Moment. Go ahead, Brian. Tell us about Game of the Moment.
Yeah, this was eagerly anticipated by myself and by Day Drinker, and it lived up to it for the most part, which was Hot Wheels Unleashed. This is an arcade racer. The drifting in it, I'd say the drifting in it is some of the funnest drifting I've had in a game. And it's very much Hot Wheels. The Hot Wheels cars are actual Hot Wheels cars. When you get them, it'll tell you what pack they came in and what year. The more you use them, the more you play with the cars, especially when you flip upside down and go against the side rails and everything, you'll get scuffs. I love the fact that this game has a lot of just mechanics around it. I mean, the drifting area you talk about is really nice, but there's certain strips that you go over that will magnetize your wheels to the ground temporarily so that when you drift, you have less of a chance to flip. Because if you do put your car sideways and it's a taller car, it'll actually start to tip over. There's, of course, the normal boost items, different types of boost strips. And they pay attention to things. They have loops. This is Hot Wheels. You gotta have loops. But if you don't go into the loop with enough speed, you can actually slow down and get to the top of the loop and just fall straight down from there.
Oh, like real Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Like real Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
You can go over tracks that don't have sidewalls, and they actually have fans that will start to blow you, and they can like blow you right off the track. And you can actually fall off the track and land on another section track below, which could be further in the whole race.
Yeah, you can
And
rainbow
it can be
road
further
it.
along.
Yeah,
You
I
can
was just
Rainbow
thinking
Road it.
Rainbow Road it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is a fun game. With that said, it is $50, which, it's fine. It's a decent price. The first,
Pay for
They
your
call-
games.
yeah, right. Pay for games.
Otherwise,
The first-
games don't get made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The first, they call it like a game pass. They almost seem like they're marketing it like a battle pass, but it doesn't seem like a battle pass. It's more of an expansion, which adds like 15 more cars and a new environment, because the environments are incredibly detailed. Like the environments are as detailed as the tracks are, and you can earn things by playing to put in the environments, like new, trophies and Atari joysticks and Rosetta Stone and all this stuff that you can put all over the place. So they have this new environment in there, and it's truly an expansion. That's another $30 that they already have available. It's blind box, but on the plus side, I've seen nowhere where you can purchase the in-game currency. It so far only looks like that you get blind boxes from completing certain tasks in the overworld or get enough coins through gameplay that you can purchase the actual blind boxes. Again, I haven't seen where you put real money into buying the currency, which is kind of nice. Also, if you don't like the blind boxes, they do make available the cars through another area through limited time where you can just purchase the cars directly with the in-game currency that you earn. One of the cars you can actually buy with real currency. One of the signature cars, you just buy for 99 cents on Steam, adds it to the game. Yeah. And again, that kind of gives you the option that if you don't want the randomness of the blind box, you just want to say, I want to take my hard-earned in-game currency, time earned, right, and put it right towards this car and get exactly that. You can. One of the nice things about the blind boxes is because you can get duplicates, they actually show both the duplicates in your collection, and you can like sell one of them back for the in-game currency or scrap it for gears, which are used for upgrading cars. And yes, you can upgrade your cars, but it's not like the Forza Garage or anything like that. It's simply you spend gears and you have certain sliders of, well, not even sliders, you just have certain parts, attributes of the cars, like the handling, the braking, the speed, that will go up a set amount when you upgrade them. Still pretty cool though. Multiplayer is pretty nice. Be warned if you're a parent.
Like, look, if I can't like adjust like one of the like tiny little like tighten a nut on like the left side of this car, all right, then it's bullshit. If you're not Gran Turismo, get the fuck out.
Gran Turismo, yes.
I'm kidding.
Parents, do be warned. We could not find any parental options, and not necessarily for the spending part, although that'd be nice as well, because the spending takes you directly to the Steam store. Hopefully you do have the parental options there to lock that down, fortunately. But we're talking more about the multiplayer and the voice chat in it. There does not seem like any like turn off voice chat. And also please be aware that people can create their own livery, their own skins to put on the cars. And it is done very much in the idea of how Forza, and I think even Gran Turismo did this before too, where they have different shapes that you can layer on top of each other and occlude, and you can make certain things. So there, I don't know if there's any moderation of that. So there's always the chance that you walk in one day and your son is playing a game and he's got the hamburger car, and on the side of it is big cock and balls.
Oh, okay. You know, I was gonna try and make it
bleep
awkward
that
for you.
out.
If you were gonna like try to dodge the subject, I was gonna be like, "Oh, what, Brian?"
Yeah, no, I wasn't dodging that. There was no dodging.
Well, it's funny because when I watched him play, I actually said the same thing. I was like, "This, not a game for me. I'd rather play like an actual
Wah,
racing
Debbie
game."
Downer.
But
I thought it was adorable.
But I did say if my child was at somewhat of an age to actually play a game like that, that I think that would be a good game for him to play, because it was very childlike. I mean, it's Hot Wheels on a track inside a room or something.
Yeah.
It reminded me like the Toy Story game. You know, it was like something very similar to that. So
I can tell you though, the controls were spot on. Like, you really felt you had control over the car. Now, granted, it's not realism. It's an arcade racer. The drifting is like over the top, but they adhere to their rules. And I was getting better at drifting, where I was approaching a corner and I would go around the corner and my nose would be pointing at and hugging the curve almost the whole way around. And then I would take off down the straightaway. And it was like the best feeling to like have that level of control. But yes, very arcadey, very arcadey. If you boost right before a hill, you could find yourself just flying off the hill, and you can literally roll your car completely over. In fact, it's a mechanic of one of the tracks, because they have magnetic tracks. At one point, you're driving upside down, and then the track just ends, and you just go off into the air, because you're supposed to rotate back around and land on the track below you and continue the loop around.
Are you allowed to do flippy tricks in the air, or do you manipulate your car with like the analog stick while you're flying?
Yes.
Can you do a tail grab?
You have roll and spin.
Okay, so that reminds me of a game back on the N64. I just remembered I played as a kid. I played it all the way through. Was Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, which it sounds very familiar. This sounds like a modern take on that with actual physics, like, because the one on the N64 was the physics were a little jank, but the tricks were really fun. So like kind of like that. So like I'm guessing you do like tricks to build like boost or something like that, or or is it just for
drift, fun? No, if you drift, you build boost, and I believe doing some of the rolls and stuff like that will give you boost as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
watch as someone on the dev team, like on Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, he's like just like watching and goes, "Oh my god!" No one talks about
right?
it.
Someone knows
No
about
one talks
arcade.
about it.
Was it the DiCaprio meme of the beer?
Yeah. Oh man.
So it's definitely somewhere on the scale between like Mario Kart, obviously not counting the weapons or anything, and Forza. It's somewhere in the middle there, and it was a fun time.
Sounds like
enjoyed it.
Trackmania to me.
Yeah, Trackmania is what I was thinking too. I couldn't think of the name,
Yeah,
but that's-
without the ghost, and because it's not time attack, it is racing, as opposed to time attack. Because you do race against others, and there's multiplayer
do that in
you can
Trackmania.
race against others. It's mostly time attack though, because
All the Trackmania I played was against people, man. Just the dumbest tracks humanly possible.
well, no, it's against people, but you're not necessarily racing the people. You're doing the best lap time, and you can follow their ghosts, and because there's no physics, you can't bump into them like Hot Wheels. I actually ran into the car in front of me, ran him into the car in front of him, and both of them, like there was hood on hood action going on.
Oh my.
And then I went over a hill.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
I knew you would like that. And then both the cars went flying off. So I don't know. Again, it's on a scale, and it's fun.
So I played for our Shocktober, right? So if you don't know what Shocktober is, basically every Friday of this month, I've been playing scary games because I hate them, but to raise money for children with disabilities. So Able Gamers Charity. Basically, I've been playing. You guys can donate to me while we're streaming. The money 100%
That's
goes
why
to
the
them.
donate thing keeps
It keeps
popping
popping
up
up,
in chat,
exactly.
guys. Sorry.
But basically 100% of
he's saying
proceeds.
that's what it's for. Uh-oh.
100% of proceeds
We
go
lost
to
someone.
them.
We lost
I
Bruno.
think we lost Bruno.
Bear
He'll
with
be
us.
back.
Here he is.
Yeah,
That was cool.
So all of a sudden, I'm the guest. What's going on
I
here?
know. What is going on here?
I'm not the guest.
Oh.
Oh my.
So
There we
now let's
go.
ask
Okay,
you
there
the
we go.
questions.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And now
Well,
Kelly's
you-
messed up.
How about I sit back and I ask you the questions from now on?
I'm okay with that.
Looks like
Forgive us, guys.
Kelly, you're gonna start yours over now. Turn your camera on and
Uh.
off because it looks like it's
Oh, good God.
being weird. But
I'm
yeah,
back.
so this week Kelly picked a game for me, and I know Jimmy, you don't know, but like I don't like scary games in the sense of like things that creep me out, like make weird noises and like ghost and like paranormal things, like zombies, whatever. I can play zombie games all day long. So now that Kelly knew that, she started picking these really like terrible games, terrible for
And
me.
by terrible, you mean fucking awesome.
Yes.
So this week I played a game called Find Yourself. And what it is it's basically a game. It's made by the same studio that made the first game we played, which is Summer of '58. But the idea is you play through 5 acts, which are kind of similar to, well, not sound similar. They are like the worst fears of some people. So spoiler alert, if you have certain things that trigger you, like clowns or like mannequins or, creepy
Oh.
things like that, maybe issues
Yeah,
with your
the
mom,
dark.
the dark.
Flashing lights.
This is definitely not a game that you'd want to check out, but it was very interesting. It definitely had all those creepy moments of like whispers and like turning around and things. I would say probably the more jump scares in this one than I think the first game did.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But it definitely gives you that creepy feeling of playing some weird game with like, even with clowns. I'm not even a clown fan, like whatever, but there was still some creepy clown action going on, and it was weird. But yeah, super cool game. It again was another like hour and a half, so you can definitely finish this game pretty quickly. But that does not mean you refund it on Steam because you're a piece of shit. No, that means you
Yeah.
keep the game.
Do not
Yes.
refund a game. If you finish it in under an hour and a half, you're a fucking asshole if you refund the game.
What?
Yes. Yes.
Because
The refund part, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if you beat a game in an hour and a half, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
No, sorry. If you get asked for a refund for a game because you finish it in under an hour and a half and you're a cheap fucking asshole, you're also a real fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Support developers.
Especially
Yes,
since,
support developers.
especially if you had fun.
Yeah.
You know,
it was
Exactly.
like,
well, I wouldn't say that I had
Like-
fun, but
we aren't talking about you, Mike. We already know
It's
you're an
confirmed. Mike
asshole.
refunded the game.
Uh,
I did not.
no, like Mike, how much was Find Yourself?
I think I was like $9, I think.
No,
nine-
it wasn't. It was actually even cheaper than that. Because I'm the one who fucking bought it.
I thought you told me that.
It was on sale on Steam for 60% off. And it was like $3.50 or something.
Oh, wow.
The game is
$3.50?
super cheap.
That was definitely not
350.
like that game is
And
way
having
worth
it-
more than $3.50.
Worth way more than $3.50. I agree.
even
And yet
at
it's so
$9,
hard to get people to pay
$9
for
for
it.
an hour and a half of entertainment, like you can go to the movies and have an hour and a half of entertainment, and you're going to spend way more than $9.
Yeah.
12 bucks, and you don't even get popcorn.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so
Should in general take quite a bit to refund any game you've gotten playtime out of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
last game I refunded was what? Outriders? Granted,
and that
I
was
played
for-
100 and something hours of Outriders, but they
But they
deleted all my
lost all your
characters, so they
Yeah,
had it
they-
coming.
Mhm.
Wait,
They literally
Yeah,
they
Oh,
deleted
there's a
everything.
podcast about
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
there is. The quick summary is I played Outriders like super diligently. It was really intense about it. I played 100 hours, took like 3 days off of work. Me and my friends
Massive
were playing.
advocate.
They're like huge advocate for playing the game. They had a lot of release issues. They severely messed up, and there was an issue that would delete characters, or at least lock you out with no gear, and you couldn't get back in again. They released a patch that aggravated the issue even further, and then they ignored it. They never released a press release that said, "Hey, we made the issue worse. You shouldn't play the game." So the issue hit tens of thousands of people, including me. It deleted all of my characters, locked my entire account, and they never gave it back for a month and 3 weeks. I did not see any compensation for it, so I asked for a refund on the game since I could not play it for a month and a half.
Oh,
And Steam was like, "No, that's cool, man. We're sorry that happened."
well, you know what? That
Yeah,
That-
there are definitely
Yeah,
some
that checks out.
stipulations there. Though.
Yeah.
Wow.
As a developer.
yeah, that's well, because contract stuff I do like server work, so I maintain like databases and accounts and all that stuff. So I'm just imagining like the logistical nightmare on the back
God,
end.
yes,
For what-
exactly.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah. I understand where it all came from, but the fact that they just didn't address it at all. And I own the game again now, so
Mhm.
Well, and it wasn't just deleting the characters; it was losing all your inventory, and then they couldn't get any of your inventory back, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're going to give you these things back, and you can kind of adjust them a little bit." And you're like, "Well, that wasn't even close to what I had." And
yeah, I got a lot of naked characters now.
Oh, this is a game for Kelly.
Kind
When
of
they
like-
release that next DLC, I'm gonna be ready to hit that thing in the nude hardcore mode.
Didn't Fallout 76 do something similar where they like the game was so busted and broken, all that stuff, and they're like, "Here's $5 of free."
Yeah, pretty
Yes.
much.
Stuff.
Yep.
Oh wait, it was they were swapping people's accounts, is what it was. You were logging in as other people or something, and they're like, here's $5 for the shop. Like, and
Yeah.
you forget
Try
this
that.
ever happened.
Yeah, it's $5, dude. Like you could buy a pack of bubblegum.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh
Uh,
boy. You can't.
in-
So
in-
chat,
in our
I
store.
definitely said nude. Just
Yeah.
to clarify for the chat, I 100% undoubtedly said nude, NUDE hardcore mode. That was not a mistake. You did not mishear me. I'm dead serious. All right, I intend to go back to that game completely naked, and if I have to punch monsters to death, I'll do it.
So when you say completely naked, are you going to be completely naked, or is this just
Yes. No,
And the
the
words-
answer is yes to both
In the
questions.
words
that
of
you're
one of the
asking.
best ads, ¿Por qué no les dos?
He's like, take it up and I'll show you.
Why not?
I'll
both?
show you.
Oh man.
there goes the monetization on Twitch.
Yeah. Oh man. But so yeah.
Or
So
that's
the
how you
monetization
get
on OnlyFans
monetization
has
on
increased.
Twitch.
yeah. So
Okay, so I would like the record show that our guest brought out OnlyFans before us for once.
Usually we do it.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about OnlyFans. I was just thinking about Twitch and like certain streamers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they know what they're
Oh.
doing. Y'all know what they're doing. We all know.
right.
100%. 100%.
So I will be playing another game tomorrow. I don't know what that game is. I don't even, in fact, know if they know what game I'm playing tomorrow. But as sure
don't.
as you guys figure it out, we'll be tweeting about it, and then I'll be downloading it. So check us out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Check me out tomorrow here on the same station, same place, whatever.
Yes.
And I'll be playing something at 9:00 that's scary. That's going to be terrible. But donate to Able Gamers. So that's what that little thing in the chat keeps popping up. So link for it.
Able Gamers
So-
is a good org.
One of the other games that we've been playing. Sorry, actually,
No.
Jimmy was saying a very important thing about Able Gamers there.
Oh, I just said they're a good org.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And one of the games that we've been playing that I had apparently had a fairly long conversation with that Mike doesn't remember at all. No shocker there, apparently. But Jimmy, tell us about No More Heroes 3. that apparently you finished last night, Mr. Dev that says he doesn't play games.
Yeah, I actually took some time out and was like, because I could only play like an hour a night or something like that, maybe.
Sounds like me.
And yeah, right. Except I don't have a kid. The other kid's cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what else can I say about No More Heroes 3? If you've played the first two, you know exactly what to expect going into the third. It's absolute sheer insanity. Bloody, gory, but silly. Action game.
Educate our viewers that don't know anything about these series.
So No More Heroes as a franchise is I guess I would describe it as an action game where you go up to enemies and like you hit them with the. I mean, this is like a terrible explanation, but you beat the shit out of them and then you cut their head off. Like,
nice.
But it was very much a game of like the Wii era of like to have a waggle motion to do a thing. But what was really cool about No More Heroes at the time when it first came out was it actually had directional like swipe to the right, to the left, up, down, whatever to actually finish off each enemy, which allowed the creators to be really creative with like the aesthetic of it. Like a lot of No More Heroes is this aesthetic, everything outside of the gameplay, because the gameplay is like kill a bunch of guys, make money, then fight like is like a boss rush. Like you fight like a boss, and then you repeat that cycle over and over again until you climb to the top of the assassin's ranking board.
So this is Yakuza.
But like it was it.
So it's Yakuza then.
Like, but imagine just. I can't even do it justice. It's like if Quentin Tarantino were allowed to make a game. God.
I speaking my language.
So Dust Till Dawn game, got it.
Yeah. So I mean, like explaining its gameplay does not do the game justice at all. It, in my opinion, because it's like there's so much stuff outside of like the core game loop that makes it entertaining. A lot of its aesthetic, a lot of its approach of like it's not afraid to swear and cuss in your face. And in fact, at times, like Travis Touchdown will literally point at the camera and like just be like, like shut the fuck up or whatever at you, right? And yeah.
How many hours did that take you?
No More Heroes 3?
Yeah.
I would say less than 20.
Total. Wow.
It's not like the No More Heroes games aren't long. Because unfortunately, once again, I'm not doing the game any justice. It's like in order to the soft gatekeeping of the game is that they block it out. Like before you can fight the next boss, you have to pay a sum of money that you earn by doing chores in the overworld, right? And that
mowing lawns,
picking up scorpions, picking up the trash, climbing trees. Finding bathrooms and cleaning them and unclogging them with a plunger. What else? In No More Heroes 3, going into space and killing space aliens. Going into like random garages and killing a guy, the CEO of a pizza company, over and over again.
And like the space aliens part is a big piece of this, and we had talked about a little bit of the story before, and I think this was off camera. But if you go out and you see like really the first, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it's like literally the first like 15, 20 minutes of the game sets up the story of this young boy who finds an alien.
Yeah.
And the alien is named Fu, or as it's shown on screen, capital F,
capital U. Yeah. Fu. F-U. Yeah.
And he helps the alien get home, and he actually uses the technology that he, helped, that he got from the alien and he helped develop a little bit to build this mega corporation essentially. And the alien comes back, and he's a grown-up prince.
He's an absolute shithead.
He's a shit bag.
Yeah.
He's a total shit bag. And he comes back basically saying, "Oh yeah, me and my friend," and his childhood friend thought he was this great person, and he's kind of taken aback. And FU comes back and says, "Oh yeah, you're my friend. Come on, let's take over your planet."
Yeah. And not just he's like on a murder spree. Like
Yeah. Like him and
while
his
he's
friends
at it.
just broke out of a black hole prison.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, by the way, I was in prison and then I broke out and now, and now I'm here to take over the planet Earth. And then
And that
like,
sets up the story.
that sets up the story because the thing is that in the previous two games, Travis Touchdown is like he's at the bottom of this assassin rankings, and at each game at the end you climb to the top. Now I'm not going to talk about all the insanity that gets you there because you learn a lot of stuff about like Travis's past and like everything surrounding the game. Like the story's bonkers, and but he takes down this alien at the start of No More Heroes 3, and it turns out it's number 10 on the assassin ranking. So now Travis Touchdown is number 10. And it's sort of like, God damn it, this is the third time I'm going to be in this tournament. I hate this shit. Like he's an unwitting protagonist getting roped into the same situation he's been in twice already. Like it's they're really silly games. They're rough around the edges. In particular, No More Heroes 3 suffers from some like technical stuff, and I blame the Nintendo Switch developing for one. I blame the Nintendo Switch. But overall, like once you get into the core loop of the game, it's really, really good. The combat system is super like smoothed out this time too. It's a basic sort of hack and slash, like attacking the enemies, blocking, dodging, all that stuff. If you dodge at the right time, it activates a time slow, like sort of like Bayonetta.
Nice.
And then but there's also like special moves that you have that are called like death blows, which you can activate that are once you activate them, they're time limited. They can like push in, like you can speaking of WWE, you can do like a WWE drop kick on somebody and knock them away, or you can slow down the immediate area around you so you can dodge attacks easier and stuff like that. If you hit an enemy hard enough and often enough, you can stun them, and when you stun them, you can grab them, and you can do like once again WWE pro moves like grab them from the front and then give them the stunner and stuff like that.
God. That game sounds crazy.
Yeah.
So No More Heroes 3 is a Switch only game.
Yep.
Just for anybody who's interested. And I'm seeing prices all the way from $35 at Best Buy up to $58 on Amazon. So your mileage may vary.
I enjoyed it. I'm a fan of the series. I think they actually re-released 1 and 2 on the Switch, right? I think they did.
Probably did, yeah.
Yeah, because to catch people up on the series, because if you walk straight into 3, you're gonna be very confused.
That's the worst.
The charge sword alone.
Yeah. There's just so much stuff. And also a joke that they start No More Heroes 3 with doesn't land if you didn't play the first 2. Like it's one of the first jokes of the game.
Okay.
Yeah. So you really should play the first 2. And the loop is the same between the 3. Not too much changes.
A person on chat is who's I'm not even going to mention their name is saying that it's remastered.
Yes. Bruno, what have you been playing?
Remastering trend.
Sorry, my dogs were freaking out. Set to mute for a little bit there. The lesser game that I've played, I guess, is Back 4 Blood, which is the Left 4 Dead clone, essentially.
Yeah.
Left 4 Dead for the year
Spiritual.
2021. Yeah, spiritual
Same
successor.
developers, right?
Same,
Yeah.
Similar, same developers, yeah.
Yeah, Turtle Rock, right?
Yes. It's good. It's smooth. It's Left 4 Dead. It's the same recipe. It's just on a newer engine with a paint job and additional systems that do it justice. So they've done a lot with it. There's one of the main complaints that a lot of people had is like Left 4 Dead 2 is kind of like a shit show if you're just playing on your own. And playing with people could also be a shit show because people suck. But there's like not a really good system for you to play on your own in general. It's just kind of like you just deal with it. But this game has like an entire solo campaign setting where it expects you to play on your own, gives you special decks for like these cards that buff you to play on your own, and kind of entices you to do so. Which actually, when I told that to some people, they immediately were like, "Oh, we didn't realize it had a solo mode to it that was specifically designed for solo." I'm gonna buy that. So it definitely it makes a difference because, you know, having a full co-op game kind of locks out single player like ideal players from playing your game at all, because nobody wants to deal with increased difficulty or shitty bots. In this case, you still deal with shitty bots, but you can just take over them, and the system's just set up much better to buff your main character to do things. So I haven't played it too much, probably only like 2 hours in, but I've had fun with it so far. The worst experience I had on it was I was playing with James Sucks, who you know, is in Twitch chat, and that was
James
awful.
Z sucks.
James Z
Not
Sucks.
to be confused with James Z Great.
Sucks.
No.
Not James Z Great.
So-
James Z sucks.
So that's actually an important question. Who sucked more, James or the AI bots?
So there were 2 other
Mm.
people in there with us when we were playing. So it was just James. James was terrible. He's awful.
Okay.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
So he took the place of the bots, basically.
When I played single player, honestly, the bots were a lot more helpful because they didn't like waste our Gatling gun mounts, and they
Take
res
that,
me really
James.
quickly. James decided to like arbitrarily drop this Gatling gun in like the dumbest place humanly possible.
Oh, James
And then he
dropped
got like
something?
he got all excited
Ooh.
because he was like, "Oh yeah, I set it up and it worked because I killed like 10 mobs with it." And then no mob went in that direction ever again for the entirety of the mission. And I was like, "Great, it's just got 289 ammo left in it, and the initial 300 were wasted by you missing like half your shots." So
That
he's
rem-
garbage.
Damn, tell him how you really feel.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the times that James Z Sucks used to wait in the freaking trailer during Phasmo. Remember that, James?
Yeah.
Super helpful
he's a
then,
wuss.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So you know,
So you've heard it first. The average game AI better than James the Sucks.
So,
yeah. And then go ahead.
I'll just say what else you've been playing, because it's the other one you've been
The-
playing is also what I've been playing.
The next one, which
This is my favorite new game that I don't care about at all. I'm
This-
so sorry, guys.
this next game
But
actually
it has
manages
buffing
to
and
have
killing, so you should like buffing.
it has
yeah.
AI in it that actually manages to be worse than James at
I'm gonna
times.
go.
And that game
GG.
is New World. So I'm still playing New World. I'm like 200 plus hours deep, which is disgusting because the game's been out for like 2.5 weeks. But
yeah, I'm
whatever.
only at like 49 hours, maybe 50 hours at this point. So
Do I have to plan cricket to be like a 300-hour long game? Oh my god.
No, because we'll
No,
play.
no, it's fine. It's fine. You
I'm
make it
just-
however many hours it has to be, and then I'll beat it the first time in like a sitting or two, and then I'll just play through it again and try a different character as like my main way of progressing through the game. And then eventually I'll just start challenging myself, and like if you have the ability for me to just not
Speed
use any of
hacks.
the other characters, I'll legitimately just try and beat the entire game with one character
Oh my
or
god.
something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I've been having a lot of fun with New World. It's just hilarious how messed up so many things are in it. Because, you know, it's a AAA title, so obviously it's releasing with more issues than any indie title will ever have.
Yes.
that's what the AAA means.
The bar is very different. What people are willing to put up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't program swimming into a AAA MMORPG that's been in the works for like 6 years, so
Yeah.
that was pretty shocking.
Arguably the
Yeah.
First real game that Amazon's released.
It's
Yeah,
it's quite
true.
fun when you actually walk like a Terminator into the water.
It
You made
didn't
a comment.
unrelease?
You made a comment initially about working at Amazon Game Studios, and you played some of their stuff,
Wait.
and you were like, "Wow." I did have the dissatisfaction of touching Crucible, so that was the thing, and that was trash. And I when I touched that game, I was like, "This game is garbage, and it's going to die." And if you try and play that game now, you can't because it died. So obviously, I was onto something.
One of my friends was a tester
Yeah.
on that game.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So he had to
Yeah.
play it all day, every day.
At least he got paid to play it. Yeah.
Wow.
Fair
I
enough.
don't know if that's worth it.
True.
I don't know. I'll say
true.
I've been playing New World, and I don't ever run into the same issues that Bruno has. So to me, obviously, yeah, the swimming thing, I get that. But other than that, I've really had a good time with it. Just finished my first dungeon. Thanks, Bruno. But it's been really fun so far, and I'm still enjoying it. I'll keep playing.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with the game for sure. It just definitely has a lot of issues that a AAA MMORPG shouldn't have when it releases, which we'll talk about later. Because there's a lot of very specific bugs that I'm not gonna like dig into in the middle of game of the moment. But I have done 3 of however many dungeons are in the game, and they are progressively harder and interesting. So the most recent one, like the final boss, if anybody out there is a Dark Souls fan, is legitimately like a watered down like Dollar General version of Knight Artorias. So he certainly doesn't look as cool, but he has similar move sets and he one-shots you with half of them.
Oh,
So
great. I'm glad I'll never get there then.
he's got like this big flaming sword, and like the second I walked in and he like does this little intro, I'm like, oh no.
Oh, we meet again.
And then I was like, how hard is this guy going to hit? And then he launches himself into the air and drills a sword into you, and you die in one hit. And you're like, all right, gotcha. I see where you got this from. I don't
I see
necessarily know if
exactly
I
what I'm
approve
here.
of you pulling this out of the game, but damn. But yeah.
So if you two want to be addicted to New World for different reasons, that both Zycia and Demiran here are addicted to it, you can get it on Steam for $39.99. And unlike most other MMORPGs, it does not have a monthly subscription.
Which is why
It's
I'm
mostly
actually
supported
playing.
after that. Well, you're addicted because of the wood.
Well,
we know you
it's
like
not even the wood,
He
guys.
loves
It's not even the wood.
wood.
I've been fishing. I have a fishing problem.
Okay, fishing.
Oh shit!
I'm surprised there's no subscription fee. It must be that Jeff Bezos dick rocket
It-
money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
yeah.
Well, I'm
Well,
sure there'll be DLC
well, it's
purchasable
also-
later, but
Phallus one.
Yeah.
I
One. It's also heavily financed by the ability for you to buy cosmetics.
yeah, and I will say is last night, like my wife walked in on me while I was fishing,
Oh,
and I was
Whoa.
like, "Oh hey."
did you have your pants on?
She just looked at the screen and she's like, I thought this was like a fighting game or something. Like, what are you? I'm like, oh, I'm just fishing. It's fine. I was like, actually, there's Captain and there's Secret. We're just all here fishing. It's fine.
Did she walk in while you were masterfully baiting your hook?
I was actually using no bait. I was going in with raw, I guess you could say.
There
Raw.
was no
Got
baiting
it.
happening.
Yeah, there was no
during
baiting.
this,
You don't catch
this
many
game
fish.
session.
I caught a lot of
I'm
fish
just-
without the bait, which was quite impressive.
Oh, you were catching fish.
Yeah.
Got it. I get it now. I'm sorry. I got it.
Wow.
You should've just turned around and
I
just
left
been
the
like,
joke and
um,
it got back in.
You should have just turned around and just been like, it's exactly what it looks like.
But I guess on the note of playing New World, I'll leave off with the fact that as far as MMORPG releases go, it's probably the most promising in a while, which I was surprised by because it sucked complete and total ass in the betas. The executives already said that they do intend to double down on it.
Yeah.
They were very excited with the receipt of the game, which we'll talk about later. And they've released 2 patches that have fixed a lot of different bugs.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Cool. And on that note, we will take a few minutes to listen to a word from our sponsor. So hang out just a minute and we'll be back. And we're back with
Oh, no.
Sasuke.
Oh,
Last time you tried to do the ASMR crap.
ASMR.
No.
Stop. I'm gonna.
Can
GTFO.
can somebody
I'm not
play
kidding.
the Owen Wilson ASMR video, please?
Oh man, that was
Oh.
good. I love it.
Wait, Owen Wilson would it be like, wow.
Yeah, you have to look up. I'm serious.
Freaking
If you
Owen
look it up
Wilson.
on
Oh my
Google,
God.
it's Owen Wilson ASMR, and he like it's perfect. It's this guy who imitates Owen Wilson super well, and he does the whole 9 yards with Owen Wilson. It's like
It's me, your amigo Owen Wilson, the quietest actor in Hollywood.
Oh my god.
Before I
Great.
get
I've thought about this,
demonetized.
doing like a parody like ASMR where it'd be just
Oh,
like me
it's-
scratching my beard right next to the mic and just going like, "You are very pretty, and no one thinks anything bad about you." Just like,
it's just anything Owen Wilson is just so great. I just love it. He's like,
I do agree with that.
All right.
No.
Well,
nobody
Kelly,
in my family believes that I'm Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow!
Did you see his SNL?
Yeah, it's
Was
so
it?
good.
Oh, so good. He did such a great job.
Kelly,
All right, we'll let Mike go on.
tell us
Okay.
what's creepy this week.
I did I get some music?
No, I mean, I didn't even hear him say what the
No, you didn't-
section
yeah.
was.
It used to be your favorite segment, but apparently I'm Clearly.
You're
Well,
canceled.
you know
Well,
what?
it's
It is
gotten
my
creepy.
favorite
Yesterday's
section
news.
because I love Kelly's Corner with K's, double K's.
Especially the creepy one. Okay, so sorry, but this is the segment where I get to like creep people out and do my own thing, and everybody laughs and pretends that they don't like it, but then in reality now they're all like taping and hot gluing cockroaches to their pedestal snakes. So
I'm still
My-
gonna take those notes. I'm still
Yes.
taking notes.
check out the podcast.
Yeah.
So I do a Halloween DIY starting September 1st through the end of October. This week's Halloween DIY is who wants to have a severed head in the bathtub or just wherever you want to put it. So this is a severed head. And I even got this rope to, make it look super severed and, like I need to dispose of this head. Easy. Sorry, Jimmy. He's like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm starting to think that this isn't made up, that this is actually
This might be a
something that
severed
you had
head.
to do.
So,
Yeah, that's
well,
why
it's
I'm
also-
really good at it.
If it weren't for the blood marks on it, it reminds me also of like in Japan, like for bad weather, they like have this thing in a white sheet, and they tie it to their awning outside, and it's just
Oh.
like it looks kind of like a person's hanging there.
Yes,
Yeah.
So you can do that with this too. This is really super easy to make. You can go to any craft store, any major craft store, and get one of these foam head forms. They're for like wigs and stuff or Halloween
Man,
decorations.
that face is really like alien
It's
looking.
serious, right?
Yeah,
It's
very.
It's very like
you know.
long.
Well, I think it's because it doesn't have any hair, and that's why it looks more.
I don't know.
Maybe they were gonna.
Are we
spice
making remarks about bald people?
it. No.
I'm
But we do
kidding.
that too.
I'm kidding.
I don't know. Somebody in chat, maybe. So and then this fabric is like muslin. This is super cheap fabric at any fabric store again. And I just covered it and where are my hands? Here we go. On my eyes. So I don't put the fake blood again. Fake blood you can get at any Halloween store. You can get it at Target, Walmart, any
I
big
don't
box
believe
store.
that's fake.
Yeah. I know.
She says
Right.
fake blood.
Yeah, fake blood.
Yeah.
And then my very favorite store is Ace Hardware. That's where I got this rope. So
Whoa.
just wrap it around.
Your favorite store is Ace Hardware?
100%.
Well, it's got
that's
chains
Madden.
and rope. I mean,
Okay.
come on.
Yeah, let's
Guys,
Is it a lightly
Seriously.
used rope?
seriously, we need to report Kelly. I think
Yeah,
there may
yeah.
be something going on here.
I mean,
This may be a cry for
it's
help.
right up her kink alley with
It
chains
is.
and rope.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. I will shout out to Ace Hardware all day, every day. I love Ace Hardware.
I think this is a cry
you can
for help,
find
guys.
literally
Is that-
anything there.
Is there a drinking game for that?
There probably should be. Every time I mention Ace Hardware, yes.
this is a new thing on the bingo
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I take the fake blood with my own hands. You can kind of here's a hand mark. And just, make your victim really victim-y. And I like to put it like somewhere where people aren't necessarily expecting it. Or another great place to put it is like if you've got a bathroom that your guests can use that also has a shower or a bathtub, put it in there and also take some fake blood and sort of like drizzle it around. That stuff washes right off of tile, washes right off of porcelain, washes right off of whatever bathtubs are made out of now. This is actually really
I feel like
I
if a
think-
murderer, you should know what a bathtub okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say hysterical, but really it should be creepy. So that's
Yeah.
my kids like putting those.
Get the cast off onto the shower curtain
Yes. So
from the knife.
since while you're saying that, the best way to do that really honestly is to take your hand and like throw blood, like get blood in your get blood in your hand and literally throw it at the walls,
Ah,
and
okay.
it will make a really great legit splatter mark.
Okay. Legit. Got
What
it.
you missed last week, Jimmy, she said that they repaint their bathroom on a regular basis.
Yeah, because the stuff that they give you to, like, the stuff that there's this blue stuff that you can stick on your walls that stuff doesn't actually.
Have you ever thought about using plastic wrap in the inside of the bathroom? I mean, I've seen Dexter do it. I'm sure that could help you as well.
I mean, if I'm gonna do like a Dexter themed.
Obviously, you don't have to get blood everywhere and repaint every time. You could just.
Have you thought of just murdering a real person in your bathroom for?
Yeah, I was like, and here I am.
I actually have not.
And here I am slaughtering pigs in my bathroom. That's what I did.
No, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Bacon comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. So, talking about creepy things, and specifically, I did some creepy doll stuff. What was it? A couple episodes ago? That one you should totally check out. I brought my creepy doll that my daughters love to play with every Halloween season. She makes noises. She says stuff. Hold on. I don't even know if you can hear it.
Don't drop me.
She said, "You dropped me and it broke." That made me angry. I bought this one. Obviously, I did not create the mechanics for this, but I do have a love for creepy dolls, and apparently other people do too.
I don't believe
there
that.
is a there is Olmsted County, which is in Minnesota, has a creepy doll contest. I don't think they're the only ones, by the way, but they are the only ones in Rochester, Minnesota right now. They've got a museum, and in this museum they've got lots of really creepy dolls as they add to their collection or open up boxes that they haven't seen yet. They find these really creepy dolls, and that's what Phoenix is showing you right now. These are some of these historical creepy dolls. They are actual antiques. You can vote on the creepy doll contest on their Facebook page up until October 22nd, or if you happen to be in Rochester, Minnesota, you can also go to the museum and vote in person. There is a creepy doll cocktail party, which sadly I am not going to be able to attend, but sounds amazing, where they will announce the winner.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's going to be like you get to like pair up with a doll and like a cocktail party with said dolls.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. That's a creepy cocktail party.
Yeah.
That's my Halloween party next year.
Oh my god.
Creepy doll cocktail party. All right. Apparently next article. So that article came from the Olmsted KRE 11 news. Another place that I love to look for weird or cool things, like top 10 or top 15 things from Ferris Bueller's Day Off or whatever, is this website called Mental Floss. Yes. Thank you so much, Brian. The title of this article is The Uncanny Rise of the Haunted Doll Market. So I love creepy dolls, but this is taking it a little too far. Apparently people are looking for legit haunted dolls on eBay, Etsy, stuff like that. These dolls can go for $150 to sometimes $1,000. Listings include like a detailed backstory, who had the doll. Typically it changes hands multiple times. The spooky things that have happened while this doll is around, and sometimes the spirits who have taken them over. I thought this was really, really interesting because there's a company who actually like sells these things online, and they take it very, very seriously.
So how many have you ordered?
I haven't. I'm not ordering a. I'm not
is this like a fine art thing where it's not just the painting, it's the story around the painting?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my
I
God.
think so. So
Also,
for lots of people, that's exactly what it is.
Also, this explains a lot on the timing of the kind of resurrection, which is a perfect word of it, of Chucky and
Yes.
the TV show.
Annabelle, that like all of these
Robert.
things. Yes.
Yes. All just kind of coming to a head right now.
I mean, that's clearly those movies in now a TV show are timely. People are really into this. This is something I'm not going to do, but just because I'm not spending that much, I can just make this crap. I mean, these haunted dolls. So this one company proves that these dolls are haunted. Sometimes they just get a feeling that maybe like the doll is haunted. So they will put the doll in a soundproof box and record EVPs for like weeks at a time. Everybody will listen to them. Sometimes for up to a month, they will put the doll in the box and listen for EVPs. They
God.
do meditational.
It's like doll cruelty.
Yes. Meditational telepathy, ESP, and lucid dreaming techniques. And then the pièce de résistance is a Ouija board. So if they decide that, yes, in fact, the doll is haunted, they will sell it as a haunted doll with all of this evidence. If they just still have a creepy feeling, it's listed as a vintage doll as possibly haunted. So
I can't.
What kind of cult ass shit?
Yeah, like I can't. It's Jesus.
Well, I actually, I love that this article has a picture of a doll, and underneath of it is the caption, "Some dolls just want to be friends till the end,"
yes.
which was the catchphrase of the Chucky doll in that series.
That's right.
Yes.
I totally forgot about that. So you can actually go on eBay, Etsy, and do a search for haunted dolls, and this stuff pops up. But be warned that, or I guess you should know and feel safe that places like eBay actually have rules banning the sale and trade of human souls.
So actually, funny story.
Oh boy.
When
Oh, boy.
I was in high school, I had an eBay account that I shared with my best friend. And one day, without asking me, he had credentials. He got written permission from one of my classmates to sell her soul on eBay for 25 cents.
Oh my God.
And eBay was like, "You can't do that."
Whoa! So you tested this? Well,
Yeah.
you didn't.
On my account though, because I got the notice where it's like, "You can't sell a human soul." I was like, "What are you talking about? I just sell old stuff." What the hell?
She's an old soul.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. And the part that made me laugh really hard is when I saw the listing where it's like one teenage girl's soul, 25 cents. I'm like, oh my God.
Okay, Jimmy, you just lit chat the fuck up because they're like, "Oh my God, you're the origin of that? I have heard of that. WTF, that was like an urban legend."
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
This
didn't
is
know that was an
amazing.
urban legend. It's just something we did.
oh my
I mean,
God.
that's how urban legends start.
Dude.
Honestly, the description on Google's kind of like almost cold-hearted to some people because it says, "Can I sell a soul on eBay?" And then he goes, "eBay does not allow the auctioning of human souls for the following reasons. If the soul does not exist,
Thinking.
eBay could not allow the auctioning of the soul because there would be nothing to sell." But they
It's
say
fraudulent.
if. So in case the person happens to be soulless, which they can't
Yes.
confirm,
Yes.
that would be problematic.
Is that we
What if they
had
die?
we
There's no
had a
soul to
sheet of
claim.
paper with a signature
Oh,
that said this person owns my soul.
But how do you quantify
Dude.
if she even had one to begin with?
And the guy paid 25 cents for a sheet of paper. That was what we tried to argue.
Oh my
We
God.
did get away with it. We had to refund the 25 cents.
Oh my God. They paid more money in fees of trying to this transaction than like the actual sell itself.
The
I
principle. of it.
cannot.
The original story was from 2012, so maybe it really was from your friend.
Oh my God. This is amazing. You heard it here first.
That's
now
hilarious.
now this is amazing. I'm telling everybody I know about this. So yeah, Bruno, what they were saying is the argument is fairly watertight per the Mental Floss article. If the soul if the soul does not exist, then the sale is fraudulent. I'm quoting. If it does exist, then the sale is forbidden under the rules concerning the sale of human remains. So,
Wow.
yes, but there is apparently, in case you still want to sell your friend's soul, Jimmy, you can kind of bypass it if you are selling the haunted stuff, or in her case, the soul. Your friend's case, her soul. If you're selling it for entertainment purposes only, you can still get your 25 cents.
Damn.
Yeah. Let's see.
With inflation, you could get a solid 75 cents for it now.
Oh yeah. That buys 0 slices of pizza from Alexia's Pizza. I mentioned earlier.
Yes. So not even worth it, probably.
Yeah.
Blowers McNamara is the company I was telling you about that they do the EVPs and all that stuff. They said they warn against buying these haunted dolls for a couple of reasons. Like, you got to make sure that you are, like, prepared. Do you really, you need to protect yourself from these spirits that you're welcoming into your house. And also, if you have kids, they caution, do not bring one of these haunted dolls into your home. And this has been Kelly's Corner.
Oh man, can we please? I want to get into the news so fast right now. Like, please God.
Speaking of soul.
There are just some things that I could go without.
That was amazing.
I don't know what your issue was. I mean,
And I'll say one of those things right now is not New World because I'm enjoying it. But actually, the next couple stories are about New World. So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Bruno. Take it away.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, New World has been a large part of the news for the last couple of weeks because it just released, and it's Amazon's only successful game ever in the decade that they've existed. Good job, Amazon. You finally did one right.
I played Breakaway, and yeah, there's a reason why this is their first successful game. Let's leave it at that.
So, yeah, obviously we've discussed that the development of this game was not without its trials, considering the entire story and premise of the game was scrapped about 1.5 years ago and then restarted. But our first story is actually about the reviews. When the game first came out, it was met with a lot of criticism, which usually I'm on board with, provided that it's not complete bullshit. In this case, a lot of the criticism was about queues, which is the last thing that they should have been getting criticized for, to be totally honest, because the queues came from the fact that they had hundreds of servers that were empty because people were so gung-ho to just play with the streamers that they liked the most. They had the server capacity and the server stability to handle everything, but people decided that was the thing they were going to dig into. So if you actually look, the majority of the negative reviews on Steam are for people who have less than 1 hour of playtime on the game. Once you go beyond that and you were just looking at people who had 1 hour or more, it became mostly positive. And if you sort by everybody who has 100,
those are the ones that actually got to the fishing.
Yeah, if you get to 100 hours and above, it's like very positive. So I mean that's a big thing. Like for a MMORPG that released just on the Steam platform to come out with a mostly positive review score after 2 weeks of being out is huge for them. Obviously, the executives were pleased with the receipt of the game and do intend to continue to support it. But that was a huge win for them. However, a huge loss for them is a lot of the issues they're suffering right now with reference to the game systems that they've implemented when it comes to controlling the community behind the game. Our next story is actually about one of the large systems in the game. Go ahead.
I just before we moved on, I wanted to emphasize the point that it is amazing that the reviews are this positive when, like you said, not only did they restart it, but oh my God, the people that were in those early betas were trashing the hell out of New World. That they just did not like it before they had, kind of rebuilt it. So, I mean,
MMO fans are really vicious.
they are vicious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I was
well, I
savage
mean,
about that
fans
game
are
a year and a half
vicious,
ago.
but-
He was.
Or rather,
Like, I
the
had-
really
people
intense
ask me.
ones.
Yeah, they were like, people would ask me, like, what do you think about New World? And I was like, I got
Yeah,
it for free
you
and
were
it's
one of
shit. I was like, this game might actually, I remember saying specifically, this game may actually be the shittiest MMORPG I have ever been able to play in a beta. I've actually never seen something so unfinished with
And
so
you've-
little thought put into it.
And you've
It was just
played-
terrible.
And you've played damn near every MMORPG. Like I played a lot of MMORPGs, and you beat me hands down.
And I just
you-
watched them play. So
And this
Yeah,
is like
that's
my
true.
first.
I don't have
I
time
mean-
to play them.
That's
Yeah.
history
There's-
repeating itself.
there's been
Kelly
like-
watching.
I played a game called 12 Sky 2,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was hilariously bad. So bad that their faction balancing was they gave us free resets, and me and my buddy Chris legitimately found a way to break their entire game by he would set all of his stuff to damage, and I would set all of my stuff to HP, and HP meant you regen more based on your meditation. And we would go into these PvP battlegrounds, and we broke the game. They could send in like 30 people to kill us, and we would just stand there meditating, and nobody could kill us. And the other person would just be a glass cannon. They would spawn AoE one-shot the entire room and then reset over again. We just broke the whole game. And in my opinion, that game still worked better than New World did in its first beta. That's how horrible New World was, because it promised all these things and delivered on not a single one of them. Optimization was garbage. Combat system, garbage. AI, garbage. Crafting, garbage. General open world setting was just not well done. Like, none of the maps were completed properly. None of the cities were completed properly. Clipping, everything. Just the whole game was a buggy shit show. I absolutely was against the game. Fast forward to a year, I was still against the game, though I could tell that they had worked out the combat system kinks, flushed out the cities. It was just very buggy. And the game released, and I expected it to still be mostly shit. But I picked it up anyways because I'm me. And
You hate
And-
yourself. We
and I
understand.
can't help myself.
lo and behold, they held true to a lot of their promises. They fixed the majority of the game. So, I mean, good for them. A lot of game systems are still missing no dungeon finder, obviously. Swimming doesn't exist. There's still a lot to be desired, but they've definitely, considering it was a year and a half to get to this point, they've done a lot of work. Granted, they have infinite money, so maybe
Is
that
there-
speaks less.
Now, is there excuse for no swimming being that because it's colonial stuff, right? So it's like no one knew how to swim back then, or something like
No,
that.
I
Is
would-
that their
I wish they would
excuse?
give me
There's
something.
Good
no
question.
specific excuse.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, they've never said anything about why there's no swimming in the game. It's just not programmed in it. You just walk on the bottom
Okay.
of the water. And the way they did it is when you walk in water, it just turns on the encumbered effect, essentially. So,
Oh, as a dev, I definitely would have just been like, yeah, no one could swim back then. That's
Yeah,
why.
I mean, the only thing.
I love that you went there. You're like, well, here's a solution.
Yeah.
to
The
this
reason
answer.
I can think about it is most likely that they don't have barriers to the end of the world, and if people, because everything it's a huge island, so if like they were to swim, they could potentially break the game by swimming too far and doing something janky. That's the only thing I can think of, but
which could be it. Which we're about to get to something that potentially plays into that. But I guess moving on
What?
to one of their big issues, they have an automated banning system in the game, essentially, if somebody gets, I think it's 24 reports is what people believe it is, they get automatically banned from the game, no matter what, for one day.
Is
and
this
wars-
gonna be bordering on hate raids? Is this
Kind
gonna
of.
make
I
me
mean
upset?
that or like swatting
It's
almost.
got
but
some
virtual.
similarities.
Okay.
So, for example, there's 50v50 wars for control of certain parts of the map, which gives a lot of money to certain guilds. And what people have started doing is they wait until the wars are about to be initiated. They figure out who's going to be in the wars, who are the most key players, and then they just spam report the key players to get them banned for a day. And then they're just gone when the war happens. And by the
Part of me is
time
not
that
surprised people haven't done this already.
Yeah,
Like
they're-
in other
they're-
games.
yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is the Amazon's one of the first companies, if not the first MMORPG developer to implement something that allows for auto banning in that way. Most games don't allow it for those specific reasons. It's hard to control. But they put it in there to control gold farmers and stuff like that. And lo and behold, it's backfired. Like entire guilds are getting banned before wars. Like I'm not talking like 10 people, like 50 people just disappear like within 30 minutes, and they don't get a resolution until after their ban has been lifted. I mean, even me, like I was in global chat and there was some guy just shit talking, and I ran over to the city he was in, killed him, and I made fun of him, and he threatened me. He was like, "You sure that you want to do that? You want to play this game? Do you want to get banned?" And
Did you say, I'm Demirin?
No, I said nothing. I was like, no, I don't want to get banned from this game that I like playing. And then I reported him for threatening to get me banned falsely.
So I have worked at Amazon, right? And I at first I was like,
disclaimer.
Someone in the room had to have, when they were talking about the system, someone had to say that's gonna get abused, right?
Yeah.
But like, having worked there before, it wouldn't surprise me if the idea was, yeah, it'll be broken at first, but we'll fix it over time. And I don't think they expected things to happen at the scale that they're happening. Right?
Yeah.
They definitely didn't. No, I don't think they expected people to catch on to those things so quickly. But MMORPG players catch on to everything.
Yeah.
Like they're abusing every bug humanly possible right now.
Like they got super glue on their fucking hands.
It's the whole concept of the collective consciousness. See, everybody, in no disrespect, Jimmy, there's so many developers like, oh, I've crafted this devious Easter egg or puzzle, and yeah, it can stay secret and not be discovered. But if anyone mentions it, the collective consciousness of the internet comes together, and it's like massive parallel processing, and they can figure this stuff out so fast. It's crazy. And then you take a whole bunch of people like Demirin here, who is a min-maxer at heart. This man, if he can optimize a character to do what he wants to do, whether it's like blow shit up or be super defensive, as he's already said, he's going to be able to do it. And when you take 10,000 of him, they're going to be able to break some game mechanics, especially when it's popular. It certainly doesn't hurt that the same company who makes the game is the same company that's paying streamers to play the game on their platform.
Yeah.
Incentivized, and that increases the popularity more. Yeah. I am not shocked that someone has learned how to game the system like that.
Yep.
Yeah. The thing is with like game secrets is that like once the cat is out of the bag from like one person, they share it on YouTube. Like as a developer, like I understand that. Yeah, cat out of the bag on the roof, that's it. Like it's secret, right? Like unless you make it like super deep hidden and it takes a little while to find. But even then, it's like sometimes those things are a little bit more trouble than they're worth. It's better to just put something in that's fun, that the player can find, that the game like reacts to the player. Like, oh, you thought of that. Well, me too. I thought of that too. So like in there was an Easter egg in Cricket in early build that I did where there's a cake store that we had, but it wasn't an enterable building. And my friend walked up to it and he tried to enter it because I knew he would. And I put in a cutscene that was just like closed for the demo. And he was like, oh man, like he looked at me because he was playtesting it next to me. He's like, why not? I was like, keep reading. And then he hits the A button and goes, look, man, making games is hard. Like the game literally said that to him. Like, look, man, making games is hard. Like, I don't have the time nor capacity. There's only one artist. Like, cut me some slack here. I know you thought about going into this cake shop, but really, like, just like you throw in those things, but like, it's just for fun. It's like it's fun with the player, but don't expect secrets to stay secret forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Although amazingly, some of them do stay
and then
secret
make it
for
an
quite some
achievement.
time. Yeah, there we go. Making it cheap. Well, but see, achievements are data mined, so then people know that there's something out there, and then they're able to parallel process and find it. I think one of the great ones that we reported on a couple of months ago was the Mass Effect 3, I believe, which was secret for so long, and nobody had found it, that the developer kind of hinted about it until people figured it out. And there was like this one area, and you had to do this particular path of walking between like these solar arrays, and then a Mars rover came out and kind of like winked at you. And it was this tiny little thing, but it literally was in Mass Effect 3 for like 8, 10 years, and no one had found it. Or at least if anyone had found it, they didn't think of it as an Easter egg where they had, again, put it on YouTube or talked about it, where other people would like get the cat out of the bag, as it were.
What was it? Also Punch Out. There was a secret discovered in
yes!
that, like some 20, 30 years after the game.
The timing, right?
Yeah, the timing for Bald Bull. Yeah, his Russian.
I'm gonna have to tell my husband about that because he loved Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
That's a good one.
Good game.
I've got it.
It's a rhythm game.
There's this timing thing about right before Bald Bull does a certain punch that like one of the background crowd people, a specific man in the background, does something right before
flashes his camera.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep. And that's the frame you're supposed to hit punch, and if you land it, I think it knocks Bald Bull out instantly, or it knocks him down instantly.
Yeah. And like no one knew about this for decades. I remember that story. That's like a good one, Jimmy.
I feel like I've done that. I feel like my brother showed me that or something. Weird. Oh, man. So there are other things going on in New World, which is part of what we're talking about here. But this is actually something cool that someone has created outside of just the developer. So one of the things that I've noticed playing is, trying to find out where you're going is hard because you have to check the map. And usually the map, takes up the whole screen. You can't really see what's going on around you, especially if there's something attacking you, or even if like there's a player, if you're like doing PvP, for flag for PvP. So a person playing the game decided to create a mini map. So there's actually a little video here of it showing, and he's basically made a mini map almost like similar to Grand Theft Auto in the bottom right of the game, above all of his inventory. He actually has a mini map of like everything going on. Which is really cool.
We'll post this article on Twitter too, so you guys can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, he used the Overwolf program's overlay system to do it, which is approved by the anti-cheat system. However, there is some discussion about the gray area behind it because the terms of service specifically state that you can't use any programs that would add third-party functions to the game, such as mini maps. So it's like. But it's an approved third-party program, and you guys technically said you can't use any illegal third-party programs. So, like, is it cool? Is it not cool? We get banned. So it should be interesting to see what they say, since everyone's kind of annoyed with their UI decisions.
Yeah, it's interesting because I personally do not like mini maps in games, but I would never take it out of a game because I don't like them. Right? Like if a player wants that, like when I played The Witcher 3, like I turned off the mini map, like because I just wanted to explore everything. And but like I wouldn't begrudge players for wanting one. You know what I mean? That's there. I think there's a difference there. I'm surprised that Amazon took that step. Like they were just like no mini map. I mean I don't mind talking about like dumb ideas I've had. There was one idea that I had for a game. It'd be just a small game. But it was a joke about how I feel about mini maps, where it showed like this big beautiful world like Breath of the Wild, and like text on screen would just be like, look at how beautiful the world is, you get to explore all of this, and then a mini map appears in the bottom right. It goes, oh, what's this? And then it puts that in the center of the screen and then shrinks the rest of the game, so you only look at the mini map, and it goes, and then it's just like, have fun. because like whenever I turn on a mini map, I only look at that. And then I don't look at the rest of the game. So
that makes sense.
That would be it would be a parody, but like in terms of the gray area. Oh
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say in terms of the gray area with the software, that is very curious. I'm not sure like how Amazon would feel about that.
Well, right now they're not banning anybody themselves, so I assume you're fine unless you got a higher chance of somebody like getting you banned for saying like any stupid thing in global chat than you do for using a mini map at this point in time. So I figure have at it unless you're like streaming the content online. But I also don't think it's like something they decided not to add in on purpose. I mean, the executive already said they're focusing on October and adding quality of life related things. I think there's a lot of things in this game where they were like, yeah, we just made PV in this game a year and a half ago. So we didn't actually, I mean, it was supposed to be a PvP centric game where when you kill people, you lose everything, or when somebody dies or gets killed by another player, you lose everything on death. So the idea of having a mini map that tracks things in an open world sandbox would have been silly. But now it's not just an open world sandbox. It's like an open world sandbox game with dedicated cities and a lot of PvE content in it and PvE areas. So like, it's like a lot of people would love to have that and it'd be useful, but they didn't program it into the game because they had other things to do, like make the game run without making your computer like light itself on fire. And I'm not even talking about the whole like 3080, 3090 issue. I'm just saying like the game's optimization was absolute garbage. Like you could have a highest NPC and it'd be like
lumberyard, right?
Yeah. Like you're
Yes,
getting
lumberyard.
30 frames per second. So eat it.
So just what?
Yeah,
That's
really.
CryEngine. No way.
It's the worst. But we'll see what happens. The last thing, this is just showcasing some of the jank that this game still has in it. There's a bug, and it's very specific how you run into it. It seems to be caused by if you die, and the highest cause chance of it is if you die in like a dungeon, and then you get removed from the instance because everybody leaves. You will be teleported out and immediately kicked to character select, which is hilarious because it reminds me of Outriders. When you try and log into the game, you are under the map, still dead, and your corpse is moving through the entire world map at like Mach speed.
What?
And then it does that for about 2 to 5 seconds and then sends you to a load screen repeatedly forever. So there's one of the first guy to report this has currently been impacted by this issue for going on day 8 as of tomorrow.
How many laps is that? How many laps?
Can you just stream that? Like, just stream that going over and over?
Seriously.
So we
Yeah.
should measure the distance he's traveled and
Yes.
be like, did he hit the moon yet? Did he
Yeah.
hit Mars yet?
Exactly. Is he tired?
It's wild. Like if
What is
you
that
watch
game?
the clip, he
He's
just like
dead, tired.
you see him. He starts in the top corner of
Rest
the map
in
in the ocean,
peace.
and
Nope.
you just watch his body like on the world map, just like zips through like 3 parts of the continent, and then like shoots back up to the top and starts it all over again. So he's in a party, and it shows you like all the reticles for your party members and how many kilometers away they are. And it's just like you just see it changing. Like people are like 1 kilometer, 9 kilometers, 8 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 9 kilometers, 13 kilometers. And
So
it's
do
just
they
like,
actually use the metric system? I'm sorry.
They do. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I fucking love the metric system.
They do, yeah. I don't know if there's an option to use like
Real quick
Imperial
about the
system,
metric
right?
system though, as a
Yeah.
programmer, that really fucks me up. All right. So
really?
So okay, here's the thing. So like a kilogram is 1,000 grams, right?
You're right.
A
Mhm.
kilobyte is 1,024 bytes.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
All right, so that's how you know I'm a programmer, because I think a kilogram is 1,024 grams sometimes.
That's
And
how
Hours
you
of
know.
2,
See
yeah.
how that would fuck you up.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see that.
But other than that, the metric system is superior
It's superior.
in almost every way, except for that use
Except
case,
for that.
by very specific use case.
Oh my god. That's
Except for
But-
confusion.
It's just entertaining to see stuff like that happen. And one of the things that came out about it is one of the developers responded, and one of the community managers, I think a German community manager, responded, and people were like, "Can't you just like log a GM into the server with GM powers and like teleport this guy to you, like to
Yeah.
fix it?" And they were like, "No, actually, we don't have GM utilities in the game." And everyone was like,
What?
What?
"What?
What?
You have an MMORPG with no GM utilities?" And
Did he?
they're
so-
like, "Yeah."
I'm guessing this may have been talked about in the article, but did he try to do the unstuck?
You can't do unstuck. It's blanked out. You can't do anything.
Oh, that's
Because you're a
crazy.
corpse.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
You're a
Oh my
corpse, and you're
God.
technically, to top it all off, you're considered a corpse that's moving. You're in action.
Oh, right.
It's the worst of all worlds.
Yeah.
He's lucky. He's
Game doesn't know
underneath
what
the
the fuck to
world.
do
So
with you.
like, actually, it would have been nice. He's under the world, definitely like in the water area. So he should be suffering from not being able to breathe, which instant kills you after 20 seconds.
If
But
you're
no.
already a corpse.
He
Corpse.
breathes perfectly fine because I guess he's a corpse that can move and
Yeah.
be in action.
He's a zombie.
So what you're telling me is it's a feature, not a bug.
Brains.
It's a feature, not a bug. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Achievement get. Travel
There
the
you
world as a
go.
corpse.
Discovered the world was round.
Yeah, right.
That's one way to do it.
So we've been doing a little inside baseball today.
Sorry,
We might,
flat earthers.
we might as well continue it a little bit. EA is back in the news about loot boxes. Now, this is funny on multiple levels. And one of those levels is that it's kind of why God Our Attention exists. Because Zycy and I would,
Literally.
yeah, literally, Zycy and I would get on Discord or whatever, and we'd just be like, oh man, did you hear about this in the news? Blah, blah, blah. And one of the things I remember us discussing that led to the genesis of this podcast was
Oh my God.
literally EA back in like June of 2019 got in front of UK Kingdom's Parliament because they were concerned about loot boxes, pay to win, especially with the money that they were getting from FIFA Ultimate Team FUT, the foot inside of football. And they had one of the representatives appear in front of them and go, oh, well, we don't like to call them loot boxes. We like to call them surprise mechanics.
Legally distinct.
Legally distinct from loot boxes.
The best kind of distinct.
Yes, the best.
Yes.
Kind, well, especially when you're in front of Parliament trying to defend your company. That's the
Yeah.
best kind of distinct. And they tried to compare them to like Kinder eggs, which Kinder eggs, which
Yeah.
by the way are illegal in the United States,
Yep.
in their true form, which is
Okay.
a chocolate egg with a surprise toy in the middle of the chocolate egg, and I guess U.S. government in the past figured that U.S. children were too dumb that they couldn't
They're
figure
gonna
out their,
bite into it
and then
yeah.
choke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
How
is
many kids have actually died from that, though?
All it takes
yeah,
is
not
one.
many.
Yeah.
All it takes is
Well,
one.
that's not, well,
Yeah.
I'm wondering,
Do you
like,
understand how many
was there-
Karens are out
My
there?
But
question
that's
is,
the thing,
but it's like
It
my
doesn't
question
even
is, was
take
there
one.
even one?
right?
You know?
Right. See, Jimmy's got it. It doesn't even take
Good.
one. It takes one
Karen.
to have bit into it and have it in their mouth and not even choke and just go, oh mom,
And
look at this.
choking.
And I pulled them in mouth.
No, it's chewing on. It's finding it in their poop. Like I'm a mom, man.
Well, no,
I know how
not
this shit
even
works.
that far. Not even that far. All it took was a mom seeing them pull it out of their mouth, not even choking, to like freak out and make them illegal. But anyway, side topic.
Yeah.
So that it was. I mean, I remember talking to Zycy about this, and this is one of the stories back in the past that led to us going, you know, we like to talk about games. We should talk about games and broadcast it on the internet.
Yeah, basically.
And look where the hell we are now. And sure enough, as usual, the wheel cycles around, and what was old is new again. Everything is repeated back in the game world, along with other worlds. They're back at it again. So now, surprise mechanics wasn't enough.
Surprise.
EA.
mechanics.
EA
I-
says, oh, wait. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just gonna say, when you posted, like, this is how ridiculous. When you posted this article into our location that we usually post, I immediately
Secret
responded.
location.
I just hit reply and I just said, "What?"
And he's talking about the article that's coming up, not the previous one. This is So EA is claiming, and this is currently from the Games Radar Plus article. The title pretty much says it all. So I will quote their title, and I'll give them credit for this fantastic title. EA claims FIFA loot boxes allow player choice and make it more like real world football. So essentially, what EA is trying to say is, because you have the randomness of these loot boxes, which again, these loot boxes give you players of different stats that you can use on your game, and it literally can make the game easier for you or allow you to give a competitive edge over your components or your opponents. They say that because it is randomized, that it's more like real world football of trading football players between different teams. Or
Jimmy, how do you feel about this?
I was just gonna say, okay. Like,
Jimmy's been waiting.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, I'm like, okay, here's the thing about like digital versus real world people. There's only one of me.
Yeah.
But there are unlimited, if hypothetical digital me's. There could be infinite number of them. But the reason I play a football video game is not to simulate real life to that extent. Like that's a little much. Under the guise of like, oh yeah, it's just like real world football. We just also happen to make money doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and not just them. Okay, so like you said, they make money doing it. Let me address that really quick. So one of their contentions against that is, well, only 1 out of every 10 packs is opened using the premium currency. The difference being the premium currency is what you pay real world dollars to buy, whereas the non-premium currency is earned by playing the game. So they said only 1 out of 10 is actually opened by premium currency. So only 1 out of 10 of these loot boxes actually bought by someone.
Oh.
Now, mind you, they also go on to say that 78% of all FIFA 21 players never spend anything in the game, which means 22% do. Now, that 22% accounts for $1.6 billion of revenue in a fiscal year. Billion in a fiscal year. And those are the people that are purchasing loot boxes. Now, if that wasn't enough, you can trade your players. And because you can trade your players with another named account, that allows you, because this is against their terms of policy, right? But you can, on the side, say, hey, I'm going to trade this player. Who wants to buy him? And you can do a real world money transaction on the side.
Money off of
not through the game, but outside the game.
Right.
And it's not even the make money that is the important part, because if we remember, recently we talked about a story where UK, I think it was UK officials, raided this place that they thought was a grow op. They thought it was an illegal grow op because of all the power it was using. Actually, it wasn't UK. It was more like Czech or something like that. And then when they broke in, they found thousands of PlayStations, all with FIFA 21, because they were grinding the in-world currency to open loot boxes to sell them to launder money. So it literally is,
I think you broke Jimmy.
Something that organized crime is using.
What the fuck?
I blew the guest's mind. Hell yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, Jimmy.
It's just, well, the part that, like, because as sort of like a government entity, like, imagine, right, like, or take a video game out of it, like Pokemon cards, right? and like kids are trading them, but it's like, oh, I'll give you this I'll give you this Jolteon and $5 if you give me your Charizard, right? Like, how is the government supposed to step in and regulate that?
Yeah.
Right? If people are doing external transactions. Now, the launder money, that's, for other illegal activity, that's different. But like, but it's like, how do you even stop that? Oh, it's like, the only thing that can be done is that EA basically grows an ethical backbone and decides we're not going to do that. And we're not going to trade like this real world money for these loot boxes that get you these rare players or whatever. They don't do that, but they're not going to do that. It makes money. They're financially incentivized to do it.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
oh my,
So,
it's a big old tangled mess.
I'll throw these pictures up for Jimmy.
Oh my god.
Oh, the Sony farm or PlayStation farm.
3,800 PS4 consoles.
Just be a part of a different problem and mine Bitcoin.
Right?
Seriously.
Oh
It was insane.
And whose idea was it? Like the person who's like, just stick with me, guys.
Yeah,
Here's
really.
how
I'd
we're
like to
gonna
be around
do
that
this.
coffee table. Like, good God.
Yeah, so I find it hilarious that they're in the news again, and they're continuing to defend loot boxes, and so many governments. I mean, Hawaii back in 2019 had tried to pass legislation to make certain types of loot boxes illegal because of children being involved in gambling, and then there's all these legal disputes of like it's not gambling.
What is gambling and all that stuff?
What is gambling?
Oh, Jimmy, I have a whole podcast
China?
on that.
Yeah. No, well, no, what I mean is like they like
No,
in the
right,
courtroom,
right.
they will ask that question.
Right.
Like, what is even gambling? Like in Japan, what they do with pachinko is that you're not allowed to gamble directly, right? So what they do is that you play pachinko, you weigh the metal balls that you earn, then you get these random items, then you just walk across the street and trade those items for real money, basically pawn them off, right?
Yeah.
But it's like it's
Like the coin
legally
game.
distinct,
Yeah.
right, from traditional gambling as we know it. So it's like,
Yeah.
so you could invent you could be like, this thing is gambling, and then a game developer will just find another way around it. They'll make like a redemption code in the game that you go into a separate app, completely distinct from it.
Yeah.
You redeem it, you get the gun skin or whatever, and then you just trade it back to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not gambling anymore.
Yeah,
right? It's
I
like
went down the dark
they
rabbit
just
hole.
dance around it.
I went down the dark rabbit hole of trying to legally define what is gambling. And when I did that, I realized there's no real defined line on the internet. They won't tell you for that reason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's interesting because it's like if someone wants to make money unethically, they'll find a way, you know, and it's like, I think it really comes down to actually a related topic is that I think in computer science in college for those degrees, I think they need to force the students to take an ethics class.
Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah, so that like they understand ethics, and so like because
it changes,
because I've worked at Amazon,
yeah,
and they ask questions, and they make us do or they ask you to do things that are like, ooh, that seems a little sus, right?
Yes,
yeah, and they're like, but we pay you to do it, but it's like the industry collectively needs to grow a backbone.
Just imagine somebody taking an ethics class for that and then being like, great, now I know how to circumvent these. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is how I make a whole bunch of money.
Unfortunately, sociopaths exist.
Yes. True story.
yeah, we have Bruno.
Yep.
What? I wasn't suggesting that Bruno was one.
Says the sociopath Mike.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway. Okay, so
I'm just a pervert.
no.
Oh my God.
I mean, I wouldn't be so
Yeah.
proud about it, but yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, we reported on a story when Deathloop was released, and some of the developers.
Kelly, sorry, I actually beforehand,
Yeah.
I accidentally I interrupted you when you were talking. I did just now again, so I'm gonna apologize twice.
That's okay. Interrupt away. That's what this podcast is about. Great thoughts come at inopportune times, and we're always open to them. So Deathloop came out. We reported on, or Kotaku reported on this, and then we in turn reported on the report of developers not being in the credits, even though they worked on games. They were lumped into, some of them were lumped into special thanks. Sometimes some of them were just completely left out. There are a couple of different reasons. Same thing happened Red Dead Redemption 2. There are a couple of reasons why they are left out, and some studios say things like you're only allowed to be in the, or per your contract, you'll only be in the credits if you are currently employed in the studio, or if you have worked on the studio like for X amount of time, and this is their way of trying to get people to stay, and then basically punish those who leave the studio. And
Yeah, I love their quote is they want employees to stick it out and get to the finish line.
yeah.
That's a
So-
load of horse shit. How about that's a load of horse shit? And that if they worked on your game, credit them. If you want to keep staff, treat them well. Give them benefits. Give them 401ks. Give them like retirement plans. Incentivize them to stay. Don't freaking ransom them
Yeah.
into staying.
Really?
Like what the fuck? Actual.
All right, go off then. Yeah, give her.
Yes.
Sorry, I
Get her, bud. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, yeah, keep
Thank you.
going. I'm with you.
And that's the old story.
Yeah. So typically the people who are left out in these big studios are contractors, testers, studios that they outsource to, and like I said, employees who are no longer with the company for whatever reason, whether they willingly left or were,
Let go. Yeah.
let go.
Yeah.
So another thing this article pointed to was when I am saying, hey, I worked on this game, here's my resume, and the company that I am applying to can look at the credits and go, you're not here. That's a huge problem. And if you have spent a large portion of your time and a large portion of your money working on a game, that's a big deal. So apparently the same thing happened on Metroid Dread, which just got released. A 3D artist, Roberto Mejias, he was posting on LinkedIn that he was a developer. He was not the only person who fell into this category, but he left the company after working on the game for a large portion of time. He played the game, many of the things that he developed, and made it to the final version of the game, but he was definitely left out of the credits. Mercury Steam told NintendoLife.com that their policy requires somebody who worked in the game to work on at least 25% of the game to be considered part of the final credits. But when a game, I mean, Jimmy, you just said like your game, I mean, takes a long time to develop because you are working on lots of other things, or it could just be a huge game. So if a game takes 4 years to finish, but you worked on it for 11 months, not 12, as this article like shows as an example, should you or should you not be considered part of the credits?
Actual.
Like, you always like you contributed
Yeah.
to the game, period. Like, and even if it's not like a hard like this 3D asset made into the game,
Yeah.
there's also soft influence, right? Like concept art or like just these little things that you've done that help influence push the game across the finish line. Of course they should be in the credits. It costs the developer nothing to do
Yeah.
it. It's a spiteful move.
Yeah.
It's a shitty move.
It's
and-
a shitty fucking move.
Okay.
And frankly, I just think it's a dick move. And
Mhm.
like it literally cost the dev studio nothing, even if the person was there for a month and got fired. Like
Yeah.
to just be like, yeah, they were here. at one
Yeah.
point.
So
And then like if a person wants to follow up, like a prospective employer with someone, and they go, yeah, I'm gonna call your past employers, and they call Mercury's team. It's like, yeah, how'd this person do? Oh, they were here for a month and they got fired. Like, just tell the truth.
Yeah, then say that. Then absolutely say that. 100%.
So
Yeah.
playing devil's advocate, what about movies where you have tons of extras potentially, you know, doing parts of maybe in the movie for a good bit during a background of a scene? And we credit them or do we not?
They usually get listed
Yes.
though.
They do.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes there's just
A lot
extras.
of times they don't. A lot
Yeah,
of
they
times
should.
extras. A lot of times extras. I mean, like, yes, old woman on bus
Yes,
gets
yes.
credited.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
But-
you are part of a significant portion of it, but if you are just walking by and you cannot, if you cannot be identified, then no, you're not going to be part of it.
But what if you can be
did make a
identified?
paycheck?
But what if you did get it identified? And you may not have made a paycheck. They usually just say, we just need extras. And if you just want to show
Yeah.
up, feel free to show up.
I do.
mean-
So part of the extras contract, and I
I-
will have to check with my friend who is in the business, but I think part of the extras contract is you're not going to make it into the credits.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So if I sign up as a developer for this game and you say you're not going to be included as part of the credits, then okay.
Really,
But
yeah, it is
I
a little
think some of
different.
the-
If I was pulled in to be an extra in a movie where they're like, yeah, we just want you to be a body on the floor or
Mm-hmm.
something, you know, if there's an understanding that I'm not going to be part of
Yeah.
it, then that's fine. But
I
there's a
didn't come
similar
to work every
situation
day.
when it transfers. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a similar way that transfers into games. Like if you're somebody where like the company reaches out to you and goes, hey, we need like the tiniest piece of art for you. We're going to pay you a stupid amount because it's going to be in our game. Like you charge us, you're going to charge us a rush fee, right? And I'm speaking from experience because of Savannah. Let's say like she does like a small piece of art, right? And this has happened. They contact her. They go, listen, we literally want a portrait, just a picture to be in the background of what we're making. We're going to pay you like $1,000 for one picture, a picture you've already made before, just to license it, to put it in there one time. She's not going to be in the credits.
Yeah.
Why would she? She's getting paid out like $1,000 just to have her picture shown there for like a split second and then move on.
Yeah.
But
I
like if
think
she
that's-
worked on it, she was hired by the company and she designed something, she designed multiple things and worked multiple days on that same project, then she should be credited. It just makes
Yeah, I
sense.
think-
during production for that thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
also-
I think that's the critical difference here, because your example fits well with the extra thing. Is, are you part of the creative process
Yeah.
to make that final product, game, movie, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, you like a piece of art that she's already done before, they're just licensing it. That's different than her spending the time of learning, okay, what's the characters here? What's kind of their,
Yeah.
like what's their deal? What's their inspiration like? And then that affects what she's going to create or what an actor does versus what an extra is doing. And that could be some of that line of whether you get credit. For instance, you don't necessarily credit the guy that is just as important to making the game that kept the servers and the databases up.
Yeah.
The IT guy doesn't get credit
That's true. That's very true.
because
I'm
he
also
didn't
really-
he didn't have a actual like creative difference
I don't know, Jimmy.
to the final product.
As a server guy,
Yeah,
do
right.
you get
I
Because
would
he's
credit?
like
got
my
both.
name in the credits. but in all honesty,
Yeah.
like even with that, from my perspective, once again, it's like it costs the company nothing to put
Yeah,
some text
Yeah.
on the screen that
That's
gives
true.
the guy credit.
Yeah.
You
Now-
like kickstart a game nowadays and you can get in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Like,
That's
right?
very true.
You could literally throw $1 at someone
Mhm.
and get in the credits of something. And it's like even IT server guy, like it's like I'm fine. It costs the company nothing. I would do it. I mean, I run my own stuff here,
Yeah.
but like if I were running a bigger company, like get everyone on the staff, everyone's name, everyone who's been here, everyone who's left,
Yeah.
whatever. Like get all their names in.
Yep.
But this is why I probably don't run a place like Amazon. So,
The only other part of that story that I'm interested in is it actually is the wording specifically that they're not in 25%? Was that like how they They have to be in 25. They have to be part of 25% of the development process for it to
a Mercury Steam rep said the policy of the studio requires that anyone must work on the project for at least 25% of the total development of the game.
Yeah.
Okay, like there's a specified development time, or like if you try to take them to court, could they say, "Oh no, you have to be responsible for 25% development of the entire game," as in 25% of all the
25% of the time you have to have worked there 25% of the time that the game was in development. So if it was in development for 4 years, you had to have worked there for a year.
Yeah, that's
in
stupid.
relation to the game.
You know how much work somebody can pump out in 1 year?
A company that has a retention or that as a policy like that to try and maintain retention is like generally probably a shitty place to work. And and Mercury Steam, not to like light any fires, all right? Like just like it's not a good look.
No.
Yeah.
Not a good look. Whether or not Mercury Steam is a great place to work or not, I don't really know. But it definitely is sus.
Yeah.
Was it? I think was it LA Noire did something similar, Team Bondi, where they were like, I mean, and that game had like grueling crunch for like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah,
like people didn't see their families, and then only left out of the credits. Like, that's obscene.
Yeah.
I could go on and on about like ethics in the games industry as a collective whole. Like there are definitely some sus things that happen.
Yeah, I'm not positive that Dan Reichard was credited in LA Noire.
Wow.
And he contributed a face to one of the characters that you kill over and over and over again.
Oh my god, really?
Well,
man,
that's sad.
This has been very entertaining, and this week, this is what got our attention this week. So, if you are interested in following us or wanting to know more about us, go to www.sasgaming.com, where you can find out more information, all our links, and all that fun stuff. Shameless plug real quick, Shocktober tomorrow, so every Friday of this month, I'll be playing a game, a scary game that I don't want to play, to raise money for Able Gamers Charity, which gives the ability for children with disabilities to play games kind of like we do. So definitely check it out, donate if you can, if not, just came and hang out. It'll be a good time here on this channel. And outside of that, we don't have any emails this week, but I do want to say...
But we also want Jimmy to plug
I'm getting there.
his game.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I was going to say is she pulled a mic there.
I know.
She did.
Yeah.
She absolutely did. Drink.
I got nervous.
So but what I do want to say is a very special thank you for Jimmy to hang out with us this evening. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And this is your time to shamelessly plug anything. So how do we find out more about Studio Kumhio, or what about Cricket? How do we find out more?
Oh, first off, thank you all for hosting and letting me rattle off and just say a bunch of shit into a mic. And apologies for all the parents and your children maybe listening for my obscene mouth. Anyway,
and ours.
So shameless plug. Please give a follow to Studio Kumhio on Twitter. It's literally twitter.com/Studio Kumhio or studiokumhio.com. Links to all of our links to a Twitch stream that I will probably get back into doing soon. I took a short break for like a couple of weeks. And our YouTube channel and Twitter and Instagram, where we just post Cricket updates. Keep up to date with Cricket. Wishlist us on Steam. It'd be very much appreciated. The game's a labor of love. We're working really hard on it, pretty much all day, every day, and we hope that you'll enjoy it when it comes out. Thank you.
Forward to it.
For sure. Well, hey, like I said, it's been a pleasure.
Everybody loves you, Jimmy. Everybody on chat loves you. So thank you so much.
Oh well, thank you. Thank you for being so warm and welcoming.
For sure. Well, hopefully this won't be the last time we hear from you. Maybe we'll get to hear some of our updates later on. We'll get you back on, and maybe for the release or something, or maybe before that if we're still alive, apparently.
Absolutely.
So until next time, guys, everybody be safe out there, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.